It's time to crash and burn. You guys ready?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Show around Sundown After Dark. Your host Bryan Chamberlain, presented by Sundown Audio.
All right, I am your host, Bryan Chamberlain, and it's time for us to crash and burn today. This is the pilot of the Sundown After Dark show. Hopefully it's going to become something awesome, but we don't know. With us today, on my left, we've got Mr. Jacob Fuller, and we have Derrick, who does not have a headset or anything. He's just here to intimidate us today. And then we've got Mr. Donnie Lambert over here on the right, and then we've got Thomas Thornsberry. Everybody here is a Sundown employee, and it's Sundown After Dark.
And 3 of us actually work here.
Sometimes.
I just showed up one day.
That is kind of true. Donnie works here. So it's a special day. Jacob just had a baby.
Yeah.
A baby. And we're going to smoke some special cigars.
Well, hold on. He's going to show a picture of the baby.
Oh.
I am.
He's got a picture pulled up, ready to go, ready
Right
to
there.
fire.
The baby. What's her
Can you-
name?
Maya.
Maya. And it's a girl.
Yep. Little baby girl, my third
We're going
kid.
to smoke It's a Girl's. So I'm going to hand these out to you guys. Here's 2 for you guys over there.
Thanks.
Derrick, would you like one? Here's that.
Indubitably.
And one for me. And Donnie, tell us about this cigar if you don't mind, because I fuck the name up when I start saying
Oh,
it.
so it's Romeo y Julieta.
Oh,
It's
Jesus
the
Christ.
Reserva Real. It's a girl.
It's a girl.
It has a cork.
Fancy tube.
Donnie, you're
got
just
a
making
cork.
stuff up, aren't you?
No, well, hold on. So I kind of put on the spot there because I smoke a lot of cigars and I love smoking cigars. But
Donnie is the cigar expert.
I
It really
am
does
the expert,
say
but I smoke very few from tubes.
It's a girl.
By the way, how the hell do you get this out of the tube?
So yeah, you just
You might have to use the this to get the little cotton out.
Kind of suck it out.
I mean, probably, Brian.
It's got a little cotton deal in there. You can't get it
If
out.
you suck as much as this show, maybe.
Thanks, buddy. So, there we go.
So it looks like it's got like a cedar wrap there.
I love how Donnie's winging
It's got a double cap. It's
Does this?
actually I have a thing on my phone that'll tell us what gauge it is.
Oh,
This comes
there's
off.
a gauge
Okay.
to cigars.
Yeah.
Gauge as in thickness, like wire.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess this
Well,
up.
how about that? Of course, the computer wants to do an update, so I'm going to hit snooze.
Erroneous.
So, yeah, we're going to smoke these. So, let's talk
45.
about what we're doing here and why we're doing it. For many, many years, I've been talking about wanting to do a show similar to this. In all honesty, a lot of us get together, it's after work or during work or lunchtime or whatever, or on the weekends, and we just bullshit. And I don't know how many times that we've said, hey, this would be great for a podcast, or this would be great for some kind of a show. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're just being ourselves. Hopefully it's not too boring.
Nah.
So most of the time we laugh and have a good time. I don't have a cutter.
Pass
I
it around.
I
Pass
might
it
need
around.
such a thing.
Use the poker, Brian. Use the poker.
All right, yeah, poker. So anyway,
Goodness.
we like to cut up and have a lot of fun, and we figured you guys would enjoy having fun with us during the crazy ride. So
Is it a crazy ride though?
It
I
is.
feel like it's just like what we've been doing.
well, it's not.
Forever.
Thanks, Donnie.
Maybe it is. I don't know.
But now we're surrounded by expensive equipment.
Yeah, and we'll have cigars often during the show, and we'll see how the smoke gets.
Well, I'll
to
be
it.
more prepared next time.
I meant to tell you. And by the way, this is a pilot. Still don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I didn't really
Damn, Thomas.
I didn't really give much instruction other than make sure your cell phone's turned off.
Oh God!
That was upside down, wasn't it, Donnie?
And then shit like that happens.
Oh my God!
That thing is pretty dangerous, too.
I was on fire for
Why?
a second.
Why is this happening?
Hold it right side up, Donnie. Come on, you can do it. No. There you
Like
go.
that?
Yep. There you go, Donnie.
Holy
You got
shit.
it now, man.
This thing, why is that a thing?
Dude, I don't know.
Look at that!
That's a massive
that!
crack lighter.
It's going to make sure that your cigar
This
is lit, man.
Olympic torch of a lighter.
If that was a lightsaber, you'd be dead.
That is correct.
Already chopped his dick off.
That's why Johnny is not a Jedi.
I'm so impressed. Look at this thing.
It
Not-
is a whopper.
This is not my style of cigar, but it tastes very good.
Hey, can anybody figure out why we call that lighter the Thomas?
Because he's on fire.
Because it's flaming.
Jesus.
Man.
Yeah, dude. That shirt that you won from the contest almost has a hole in it.
That is the
I called in.
Oh, by the way, I did pick out 3 voicemails. We got around 30 voicemails or so. A lot of them were awesome. There was a lot of them that were way too technical. Didn't want to get into way too technical information. However, I picked out 3 nice emails that we can talk about. Not emails, voicemails. And in which we can have a little conversation. So we'll do that in a little bit. I'll name all of the winners. Just again, 3 winners. And we'll do this often. We'll go ahead and have people call in. And you guys can call. I mean, the phone number's up there. Just call. Doesn't matter when you do it. And then from time to time, we'll go through some. If we have nothing to talk about, we'll play a voicemail and gives us something to talk about, right?
I'm not going to set myself on fire often.
I want you to do it.
That
every
was the
time,
one
Donnie.
time for the pilot.
I don't
I'm
really
done.
believe you, Donnie. I'm pretty sure you're going to do it again.
Bryan did say, "Let's crash and burn."
Well,
Yes.
it's funny because Brian's like, "Yeah, Donnie's going to talk about the cigar." I'm sitting here lighting myself on fire. I'm the cigar.
He's a professional.
I'm the cigar expert guy.
I'm helping.
I love it.
Next episode, we give Donnie fireworks.
Anyway,
That's going to be amazing.
No, I need to shirt as a cigar expert. It's,
Yeah.
it's got like burn
That works.
spots on it.
We can make that happen.
so anyway, Jake just had a baby. Congratulations, Jake.
Thank you.
Congrats,
She's a
Spawn.
happy,
Congrats.
all 10 fingers and toes.
Yep.
Everything's good.
Very healthy baby.
Good. Very good. That's his 3rd child. So, first
That's-
girl.
That's one way to live your life.
Yeah. Welcome to having 3 children. What's that saying, Jake?
Well, you got 1 kid. Everybody wants to watch it. You got 2 kids. Maybe some of your family will watch it. And when you have 3 kids, nobody's watching your damn kids.
Nope. Nope.
It's forever.
Oh, they'll take 1 or 2 of them, maybe. Yeah, I have 3 children. I understand. So anyway, back to what we were saying. This is kind of something I know I've been wanting to do, and we've been talking about it for a couple of years now. And finally, I had some time to do such a thing, and decided to put some money into actually doing something. So here we go. Let's crash and burn. So this is called Sundown After Dark. Actually, Derrick came up with that name. Thank you very much, Derrick.
Thanks, Derek.
So a
Name
lot of you
sucks, Derrick.
A lot of you, know me from Facebook, and I posted I was like, man, I need a name for this podcast, this show. Came up a bunch of different names. There was Cigar Time, and this one and that one. I think I came up with the X-Max show or some shit. And it was
Yeah.
I could when I'm thinking of a name of a show, I'm looking at the logo and how it's going to look. I can almost not care about what the actual name is. I just how cool can I make this logo, or how cool is this going to look? Is it going to work? That's how I was looking at it. And Derrick over here is like, oh, it's called Sundown After Dark. Well, that was awesome, because this is going to get a little raunchy from time to time. So, Sundown After Dark it is. But anyway, thank you very much, Derrick, for that. Now,
I thought it kind of sounded like a Showtime.
that's it. That's it.
Skinamax.
It was Cinemax
special.
and I think
It's a little edgy sound immediately.
I think it's Cinemax that has the Cinemax After Dark. It's like after midnight,
Yeah.
things get a little dirty. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna get a little dirty around here.
Oh, but real fast, you're talking about logos. We should bring up Ryan
Definitely.
designing our logo.
So Ryan Miller.
Yeah, Ryan Miller.
Ryan Miller
Have it to where we
did
can
design our
see it
logo.
over here, Brian.
I can't do that.
Okay.
Yep, sorry.
Oh, okay.
So I will go ahead and show the. I'll show the logo.
Yeah.
Thomas wants to check his hair.
So there's the logo. Well,
That's what I'm
the,
talking
the
about.
people need to see the logo. There it is,
Yeah.
right there. So there's the logo. That's like a background type logo,
Yeah.
and I still need like a. I'm still working on with him on getting more one I can put in like an icon, like a smaller style one.
It'd be really cool if we could get him on the show too. 'Cause
Definitely.
He's known me and Thomas for a very long time.
And we have good stories.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The only way
So-
that we can have him on the show ever is we also have Kyle Rutherford on the show.
Small hands, big hands.
Yeah.
Oh
I'm not
my
going to be on that
god!
episode. I'm not going to be on that episode.
Bear paws and kitten mittens.
Yep.
Jesus.
That's what the episode could be called.
That's right. I'm good at naming things too.
So yes, one has very large hands, one has very small hands.
Yes.
That's not saying anything else about the person. So. But anyway, yeah, he designed it. Once we get some more information, I'll definitely send you guys a link to his website. He does very good work.
Yes.
He's an artist, so that's all I
Yes.
gotta say. He's very good at what he does.
Very good.
And then another honorable mention would be DJ Rusticals, which you guys, if you heard the intro song, he made that song. Big shout out to him. He's going to be helping me a lot with the just sound bites and shit like that.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Mr. Russ. So anyway, yeah, we're working on things. I'm still trying to figure out how to work all this equipment. That's kind of what this pilot is about. Because we did a video yesterday. It was a quick 6-minute video that we posted up something, and the sound apparently was not loud enough. So that's what we're working on. I cranked things wide open, but if
So
I
if
crank,
it's still not loud enough, yell at Brian. Please.
yeah, exactly. It's all my fault. Still learning how to use the mixer and use the recording software and shit like that. So, but anyway, where can you listen or hear? Or listen or hear is the same damn thing. Where can you listen or watch this show? So that would be one of the questions that a couple of people asked me the other day. They thought it was just going to be on Facebook because that's where they saw us post.
Somebody
the video.
said something about Stitcher. Is that a thing? I
Yeah,
don't even
yeah.
know what Stitcher
So
is.
actually,
I don't either.
let me pull something up real quick.
We have the greatest listening in terms of hearing.
What?
We hear bigly.
So
And you can like gaming. You can watch people playing games.
That's Twitch.
yeah,
Oh, that's
Twitch.
Yeah, Stitcher's different.
Which there are podcasts on Twitch, but I think you gotta be really good.
Somebody called Charlie. He's like 14. He should know this.
Yeah.
So here are the ways to listen to the show, not watch the show, but listen, which is a podcast host basically. We're going to be going to try to do Spotify. Spotify is not easy to get onto, so I might have to do a couple shows or maybe a season's worth of shows to get on that.
I love Spotify.
So Spotify, there's iTunes, there's Acast, Blueberry. I guess that's how you pronounce that. Blueberry. It's going to be on Google Play. There's Player.fm, and then there's Radio Public Podcasters. So those are a few. I'm still looking into how to do this. Apparently, I have to make an RSS feed, and then I basically post it to those particular places, and they handle the rest
Brian,
from
are you
there.
putting this on YouTube too, right?
That's not. Yeah, I'm getting to that.
I've only heard of
Okay.
2 of these.
So, well, these apparently people that are really big into podcasts know these particular
I see.
sites. I don't know much about
Yeah,
it.
but
Are these here going to be audio only? Or are these
That is audio only, yes.
I was going to
So
say.
that's where you can listen to it. Now, the video form of things is going to be on YouTube. That's going to be on the Sundown Audio official channel. Now, Derrick over there, he runs the Sundown Audio unofficial channel, which big shout out to him. He's doing some kick-ass videos. He's
Yeah.
constantly,
It is awesome, yeah.
constantly
That's really
uploading
cool.
stuff. And you
You
got to
do a
check out his
video
stuff.
daily, don't you?
I try Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday?
The weekends off.
Yeah.
Check
Okay.
out Derek's taco video today.
Did you do a
I
video?
uploaded, yeah,
Oh,
I did record it.
so actually, I got a funny
Sweet.
story about
I
that
wasn't
one.
telling me because it's Taco Tuesday. I'm not putting it up till Tuesday.
Oh,
Actually,
But
Hold
I'm
on,
supposed
so-
to know we shot it on Thursday.
I see.
So anyway,
That's the magic of Hollywood,
if
guys.
you want to watch it, which you're doing right now, you're going to be doing it on YouTube. Also, I believe Facebook, since I did the a page for the show, and I did it as a podcast, and I believe it allows you to upload your RSS feed through Facebook as well. So that'd be cool. You can listen through Facebook. Haven't tried it yet. We'll see how it goes. But pretty much the only place you're going to be able to watch the video right now is going to be YouTube, and I'm going to do, what's that, BitTube? I got an account for BitTube. So 2 places to watch the video.
What about your Snapchat Premium, Brian? Can they see your nudes there?
Yes. No, all the behind-the-scenes stuff is for Derrick. So that's what we planned on doing. Again, still kind of learning this and how this all works. I know a few of those, like I was saying, Spotify. You have to kind of build yourself up to be able to be put on a channel like that. So you can request to be on it and apply, but they don't always bring you on. Got to be good. So we're going to make this good.
Get good.
we can get good.
So anyway, where am I at here? So anyway, what do you want to talk about, fellas?
Let's talk about one of these here voicemails.
All right, let's do a voicemail real quick.
Let's do it.
So I picked 3 people. Let's do Bryan's. There's a Bryan. And you know what? I spelled his name wrong.
Bryan.
I spelled it like mine because mine's with a Y. I know his is with an I. I do believe. Let's see here. Bryan. Here's this guy right here. So this is a very simple question, and that's kind of what we're going for. I didn't go for the super technical ones on the first run. So here it is, guys.
Hey, Bryan. It's Bryan from Wisconsin. Just wondering, when are the Nightshade V4.8s coming out? Thanks.
All right, let me tackle that. The Nightshade version 4.8 is having an all-new frame tool, which is technically an oversized 9-inch. I'm currently waiting for my patent to clear on that, for obvious reasons. But it will go on the actual Nightshade version 4 motor with the full 3-inch coil and all that. That frame supports about 45 millimeters one-way travel. So you're looking at an 8-inch driver with just shy of 4 inches peak-to-peak mechanical clearance. And I don't want to go into the details of the frame, but the frame also has features built into it to enhance long-term thermal power handling. And I'm really happy with it. It looks awesome.
Now, Jake, I wasn't listening to what you just said.
Good eye, Brian.
Because I was too busy trying to figure out what I'm doing over here. Did you mention that you'll be using the actual Nightshade version 4 motor?
I sure did.
Yes.
Okay.
It'll be the full-size
And that is
NSC4 motor.
that is a 3-inch coil driver as an 8-inch woofer.
Correct.
That is insane.
Correct.
Yes.
So we had to.
Well, it's technically a 9, but that's the trend now. It's the cutout size should be somewhere along the lines of the DD Mini Z8 that Ronnie tested.
Right. So.
So it'll be like with an 8-inch cutout.
Yeah, they'll have an actual 8-inch cone size,
Yeah.
which is kind of the theme.
And it's going to be a newly tooled frame. So it's just going to be I'm sure many of you run 8-inch Sundown woofers now. You've got SD series, SA series, and X series using the Sundown frame, whether it's vented or not. It's the same frame.
That was actually my first frame tooling that I ever did.
Yeah, it out of the park, dude. So we're going to be revamping. Now let me ask you this, Jake. Will there be an availability? And this is something I've never asked. Will there be an availability of using that frame on a smaller motor like the X8 or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
None of our existing motors are bolt pattern compatible as far as 8s. But I did consider when I do an X8 version 4 sometime in 2019 to 2020, perhaps going to the bigger frame.
All right. And so the 8s that we have now have a 4-lug bolt
Correct.
pattern, and this will be obviously more, I would assume.
Yes.
Probably
it's,
6
it's,
bolts.
it's the standard 127 millimeter bolt pattern. So
Oh, sweet.
theoretically, if one were so inclined, you could actually bolt that frame to a ZV5 motor or an XV2 motor. Although that's not practical because they won't fit in the hole.
Right. But going along with that, we're still working on revamping the Nightshade series. It's a constant thing that we do. We're constantly trying to revamp our products anyway.
Yeah.
So people are like, oh, you just came out with that. Why are you making a new one? No, it was years in the making, and we
Correct.
maybe a year into it, you found, we can do this a little bit better. So that there comes the new revision or the new version, depending on how drastic the change is.
Yes, and the NSV4 is only getting one subtle change for the second run, It's completely identical as far as steel small parameters. I just added some channels to the pole to reduce a little bit of the pressure behind the dust cap. We found some of our competitors that are running like 10K, like basically a 7500 at a half ohm on them, would blow the dust caps off. Not by a glue failure, but it would rip the entire surface of the cone off. So I added some channels to relieve a little bit of pressure there for those guys.
All right.
But it's fully compatible with any nightshade on the market now.
And you guys need to understand, we use the strongest glue in the market, and they're still ripping the dust
That's
caps
the
off.
E6000.
No,
It's a special proprietary glue. That particular glue actually fuses into the plastic, and it actually melts the finish off the cone.
Okay.
So the glue is not failing at all. It's actually pulling the whole surface of the cone off.
yeah. So that tells you how much pressure is going on in there. So you're going to be putting channels in to help move the air so it doesn't compact and pull,
Yeah, we're just reducing pressure.
Right. You want to get another voicemail?
Yeah, let's do another one.
So that was Bryan, and Bryan, I think we've already talked. Actually, no. Bryan is the only person that hasn't gotten back to me. So I left him a voicemail, and I sent him a text message. Because you can message through this program, which is
Bryan
cool.
gets a T-shirt.
Yay. So
Yeah.
Good eye, Bryan.
Good eye, Bryan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Bryan gets a decal because somebody already got the T-shirt.
All right, so the next person we're going to talk, or not talk to, but listen, will be a guy named Jeremy. And let's see here. So here's Jeremy's voicemail. Actually, I need to bring it back to the beginning so we're not in the middle of the damn thing. Right there. All right, Jeremy, here's yours.
Hello, Jeremy from Minnesota. Say, my question is, what inspired you guys to build your own brand, Sundown? And did you ever expect it to be so, get this big? And what were you guys doing before you started doing, Sundown woofers and amplifiers? I mean, I love the equipment. I got two ZB5 12s on a 6K, and it's just fantastic. And I don't think I'd ever buy anything else. I mean, what? Okay, that's the end of my
I
question.
love that part. That's the best part.
That is an excellent question, though, Jeremy.
It's a pretty common question I get. And,
Jeremy, I think you had a brain fart just like I do every 5 minutes. So thank you.
So, I was a hobbyist in car audio for many years before starting Sundown Audio. I was actually just working a regular job in a warehouse, picking orders and managing inventory at a company that sold car keys in Charlotte. And I'd been there for probably about 2 years. And again, I'd always loved car audio. I actually did some of my college reports where you have to do, the presentation from the class, things like that on loudspeaker design and things like that. And some people know, although not everyone anymore, because we have so many customers now, I was actually roommates with Nick Lemons from Stereo Integrity and formerly Obsidian Audio in college.
Western Carolina. Woo.
Yep, at Western Carolina. And we would just sit around and we just talk about speakers pretty much all the time. And it was during that time that I actually got into speaking with Dan Wiggins, the founder of Adair Audio / the patent owner of XPL Squared Technology. I would email back and forth with him, read everything he posted online. So I had learned a lot of in-depth technical aspects of loudspeaker design there. And, I kind of was out of cardio actually a little bit when I was working at the Key Place. Started to get back in as a hobby. And I'm looking around the market and I'm thinking, I think I could do better than this. And working at that small company kind of gave me the confidence I needed to start my own business. I'm looking around at these people and I'm like, I think I can do this, So I did. The first two products I came out with in August of 2006 were the original 1500 and the original 100.2. And it kind of grew from there. It was probably 2007 where I did a 4-channel and the original 1000. Excuse me. And then late in 2007, I left my job at the warehouse and I started working out of my parents' living room and basement and attic. And that was like my original place. And in 2008, I got my first commercial location. It was about 2,500 to 3,000 square feet in Troutman, North Carolina. And in 2008, also, my first employee came to work for me, Brandon Sparks. And actually, he's the guy that got me into car audio. When I was in high school, he sold me my first stereo system. And we just hang out, listen to subwoofers and cruising around. And it was just kind of always my hobby and my passion, and I enjoy music, and I enjoy listening to music reproduced accurately. And again, I felt like I could do a better job, not only in the products that we sell, but in the service we offer to customers. And I think that a lot of our customers would agree.
I just want to say something real fast. Like, I remember when there wasn't a shop,
Yeah.
and I helped you. You were talking about
Yes.
keeping all the stock in the attic.
Yes.
And I remember one day,
Yes.
Jake pulled up this big old truck, and he's like, "Hey, DL, can you help me unload all this stuff?" And I'm like, "I guess, man, whatever."
You know what Donnie did?
And he goes, "All right, here's $5." And hey, today
You got paid?
$5. And guess what? I'm still getting paid just $5.
So this is always something fun.
Jokes.
But like I remember when Sundown was just like still an idea. Like I have literally known Jacob my whole life, and Jacob's known me before I even like came online, which some would say only happened a few years ago. But
True story.
I showed up to his house one day, like I do, because we're family, and I don't remember the occasion, but I walked into his room, and there was all these logos for Sundown and Sundown Audio on his computer, and I was just like, "Hey, cool, what's that?" And then he was just like, "Yeah, I'm starting my own company." And I was just like, "That's awesome. Hey, have you seen that new Doom movie?" Like, it was just like, that was the extent of it.
Yep.
And then like, cut forward just a little bit, and let's like, going over to his house for Thanksgiving, and he's got this table, and he's just like, packing boxes and shipping them straight out of his
On Thanksgiving.
living room. Like, back in the day, yeah, man, dude. Like,
Oh, yeah.
he never
It's a-
stopped.
It's an amazing amount of passion from this man.
By the way,
And that's what made me want to do
Oh,
this.
let me add-
Because I just started with the company.
Jake,
for-
you go ahead. Go
Since
ahead.
we're talking about logos, actually, I would like to mention that a buddy of mine from high school named Will Cox did my Sundown Audio logo that I still use today.
Thank
Oh,
you, Will.
cool. Thank you, Will.
So we totally forgot to mention who we were and how we even know each other.
That's
and
true.
any of that shit.
Oh yeah.
Well, at
That
the
was
start-
actually,
that's
you know what?
important.
So we got into the whole voicemail
Do people
thing.
care about that?
I think they
Of
do.
course
They
they
do?
Tommy. So
Oh,
we got
okay,
into the
cool.
whole voicemail thing, and I was like, what? There's something I wanted to do before this. Why are we doing
Right.
this now?
No, it's all right.
So how about this? How about we take a quick little break? We can drain our and go ahead and we'll come right back to that. All right, guys?
Cool.
All right.
All right.
Are you sick and tired of playing sloppy edits with squared off sine waves? Want a moment of clarity? Then sit back and relax and experience what it's like to get rustified. When it comes to transforming new hits and old classics into the best street bangers. Ain't nobody got the sweet sounds of the 808s like Russ. With frequencies ranging from spleen busting high end to digging all the way down low into the subsonic abyss. Rusticals has what you need. Sundown After Dark has teamed up to give you an exclusive offer to save big on his iconic sound. So pull out your mobiles and browse your way over to www.djrusticals.com and pick up your preloaded DJ Rusticals Fire Stick USB today. Go ahead and save 10%. Use promo code After Dark. That's www.djrusticals.com and use promo code After Dark at checkout.
Funnier. It's the final act,
Right.
It works, man.
All right, we're back. We're recording again. So
Hello, everybody.
that was
Hey,
a
how's it
commercial. So
Howdy.
big shout out to Chris Russ for helping out with the sound or sound bites. Helping. So that's a little commercial for him. If you listened, there is a little promo code on there. Promo code for his website is After Dark. So go ahead and get you some discounts on DJRusticals.com.
I was fortunate enough to meet him at Slamology.
Awesome dude, man.
He's a
You
very
can't
cool
miss
guy,
him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's very
He's a
awesome.
lot of man.
All that man.
He's a very cool guy, yeah.
So makes some fantastic music. Actually, if you guys noticed during our show, I would say a very large portion of people playing, demo music was his music. So again, man, he's doing something. He's doing it right. So again, big shout out to him. So Jake, during a commercial break, we were talking that we forgot to mention the subwoofers.
Correct.
So a year or so into Sundown Audio.
2 years.
That would be 2008, right?
Correct.
So it's 2008. What was the first subwoofer you came
The
out
first subwoofer was the E8 version 1. It's kind of, there's a story behind that. I had a guy, Justin Thornton, ask me to make him an 8 with a certain budget in mind. And the E8 version 1 was born, and actually he ended up not doing the project. He was going to do, I think it was 108.
Jesus.
And so I said, well, I really liked it. I really like this woofer. I'm going to make it anyway. So I did, and then it was shortly thereafter that I also came out with the Nightshade version 1, which was Derrick's first Sundown subwoofer as well. And basically from there, it sort of ventured out as I got experience in SPL lanes, because I competed in my old crappy Jeep that a lot of people are familiar with. You know, and as I would compete, I'm like testing everything. I'd be like, okay, I'm going to test 2 spiders, now 3 spiders. Now I'm going to test a lighter cone. Now I'm going to test a lighter dust cap. Now I'm going to test this and that and this and that. You know, and it just expanded from there. And it was around that time I actually started development on the SA12, actually, which is really the thing that cemented Sundown Audio as the company it is today. And the SA12 came out in 2009.
And it's still rolling to this day.
It's still, and it's the only woofer I haven't made significant changes to.
Can I pause? You have to pause for a second. I planned on doing an actual video by itself about this. Your SA12 or your SA10, 12, or 15 is still a version 1, folks.
Correct.
Still a version 1.
Yep, it's only revision
A
changes.
lot of people don't understand that. They
Yeah.
get revisions mixed up with the
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
this is not.
It is a little confusing.
There's 2 things that we do here. There's a version and there's a revision. So an SA 10 through 15 is still a version 1. Only difference is we've changed the color of the motor. You know, and when we did that change, it was a revision number
Correct.
2.
Correct.
And then we made a few other small changes within the motor structure. And I
Yep.
think we
Rev 3 had some slight changes to the ventilation, a little bit of change to the coil, and also we had the tinsel leads went from 42 to 84 strand.
Yeah, we had to go a little bigger on the tinsel leads because people.
Yeah, so they
And
basically the 84 strand lead is like a 1500 watt RMS lead.
And
Right.
Jake is always talking about like how hard it is to just make it better.
So
Correct.
your SA 10 through 15 is still a version 1. You probably have a revision 1, 2, or 3. There's not many revision 1s out there anymore. You still have one. I still have one pop up from time to time. Everybody thinks it's an E series because it's got a black motor. But
Right.
It's
Is
a
that the one that has the weird spacer?
There was a
Like
solid
the-
spacer, and I
the-
vented the basket
first
first.
ever run was a solid spacer
4
vented
holes.
frame.
I had 4 holes, and then I went to the, let's see, I believe it was 16 holes, either 12 or 16 holes. Yeah, I think it was 12.
Yeah, 3
Yes.
per side. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still new to this.
Yeah, Donnie's still learning.
I'm still learning. I took one apart and I was like, this isn't right.
Yeah, so all the revisions of the SA are compatible.
if-
The Thiel Smalls vary at most 5 to 10%.
So if you buy a what we call a drop-in or a recone kit, whatever you want to call it, from Sundown Audio or any of its parts distributor guys, you can use revision 3 parts in your old revision 1.
Correct. And the changes to the soft parts are relatively minimal other than the strand count.
Yeah. So, however, I would suggest kind of against it because by this time your revision 1's probably pretty beat. So you might as well go
Yeah.
ahead and get that reconed while you get
Although
that second
every once in a
woofer.
while, we still see a V1 just chilling, or sorry, revision 1 just chilling the way it is.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Had a few guys a couple years ago that back when I was doing refurbs that wanted me to rebuild their revision 1, and I repainted the motors, made it look brand new again. It was really awesome. So they liked them, and then they're still beaten to this day. So anyway, back to the subwoofer thing. First woofer, and then we got into the SA12. So go from there.
All right, so from the SA series, of course, I started with the 12, and then I did the 10 and the 15. And it was somewhere, I don't remember exactly at this point, it's been a while, but the SA8 version 1 came out around that time. And it was pretty revolutionary, I would say, because there really wasn't a lot of selection for beefy 8s at the time. Really, my only target was honestly the RE8, which compared to our line is probably most similar to like the E8 version 1 or E8 version 2. And
The
I'm going
original.
to go ahead and kind of take credit here that I would say that I was one of the starters of the craze for 8-inch subwoofers.
I would say so. The original, I think, prototype or maybe first run of the E8 had this it was using a open tool frame, right? And that frame, I believe, was the same frame that Trio was using.
It's possible.
because it had the triangles on it, and I remember.
I think it was I think Hyphonics used that frame actually.
I remember getting them from you because this is way back in the day. I was doing an install. Yeah, I was local doing an install, and the guy was like, "Oh, these are trios." No, they're Sundown, and they beat hard as shit.
Are those the frames that have the little mesh?
No,
on
that's a
or-
version 1.5.
1.5.
Oh, okay, okay. I mean, okay.
So
It was older than the one with the holes.
let's talk, speaking of subwoofers, we won't go too far into this, but in 2009, I think it's when Derrick, is that when you and I came on board? 2000, and it was 2013. 2013. It was 13. It was It was April 1st for me. Yeah.
It was all a joke.
Yeah, 2013.
Still is.
That's when, and it was like a few months later. That's when the new Sundown frames started getting used on all the subwoofers. That's when everything changed, and shit got crazy.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
at that time, basically the only high excursion frame on the market, other than of course JL Audio, was what everybody calls the TI frame, which was originally using the Eclipse TI. It was owned by TC Sounds at the time, and it was patent protected. So I said, okay, I want my own platform. So I literally designed the Sundown frame starting on a piece of notebook paper, just writing out the measurements that I wanted, and it kind of developed from there. And of course, I have patents on all those.
Yeah, and it was so fun because another thing about Jacob is function follows the it's function first, and then the form is second.
Correct.
The form just is what it is.
we don't put all that chrome on thing.
Yeah, and so
Bling it out.
everything is just objectively good. And man, when those first I remember when you were just drawing it out, the first mega roll.
The first round, yeah.
You were putting it on graph paper and you were like, it's going to be this tall. And I was like, no. And then I was like, that's insane. And then you were like, and then an 18 is going to be that. And you had it all measured out. And I was like, this is nuts. And then when the first prototypes of those cones came in, we just couldn't stop looking at them because it was nuts.
Dude.
And then when the baskets came in and you built that first ZV, it was a ZV4 at the time,
Yep,
ZV412, you text me a picture of the completed ZV412, and in the picture I could see how tall it is, and then Jake just wrote underneath it, shit just got real. Dude, and Buddy, did it ever get real?
When
Because after that, everyone was on board with
people
copying
went
Don't.
Nuts.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And actually,
Started a whole new craze with the
right? Yeah, well, and a lot of the, I don't want to say people are copying us. A lot of other companies are looking into that type of work, design now.
Right. Well, it's the trend got set in motion, and there was no stopping the trend because it was the right way to go. Subwoofers basically stagnated. We'll go back again to my getting into the industry. It was during a period which we call the X-Max Wars, which was when the W7 was made. It's when the Brahma came out, when the original RE-XXX came out, and when TC Sounds was doing the LMS technology, and everybody was like, more excursion, more excursion, more excursion. But the mainstream wasn't really following that at all, and I was just, honestly, I was shocked. I was like, I can't believe that the big companies are not doing more with this. Why are they not doing it? And I said, I'm going to change this, period. This is what we're doing
I think
from
a
now
lot of
on.
it had to do with money because it's the whole race to zero at the same time happening. Nobody wanted to put that money towards
Well, I
R&D.
think a lot of it is complacency.
And I'm speculating here. I don't, if it's another company watching, I'm sorry.
A lot of it was complacency because their products were good. There was a lot of good stuff on the market, and it was selling well. And it's kind of hard for especially a big established company to be like, all right, we're just gonna change everything when the sales are great.
I think a lot of the other companies, and still to this day, were just very comfortable in their lane.
Correct.
And they're like, okay, this is what the customers are using. They're buying the shit out of it.
Yep.
Why do I need to make a change?
Right.
The big guys were wanting to sell more of the less expensive product and to worry about building something big and
Right.
eye-catching.
I shouldn't say one of the only mainstream company that bucked the trend. It was honestly JL Audio with the W7, which I still consider to be a really good woofer. And all props to JL Audio. They're selling the same woofer this far along. Maybe 15 years, maybe
I think
more.
it was 2000 that came out, I believe.
Yeah, and it still sells and it's still good. I got to give props to them where it's due.
Yeah, I was still in high school when the W7 came out.
Hey, I was there with you.
JL invented a lot of new stuff.
Well, actually-
They were on the forefront of FEA
it's like
analysis.
ninth grade.
I believe
High
they call
school.
it DMA. Actually, is what they call it. It's their own proprietary thing, but they were really on the forefront.
Wait, what's their own proprietary thing?
They call it DMA, which dynamic magnetic analysis. I
Is
believe
that the construction?
it's their
Give me-
no, it's
give
their
me-
simulation technique. So
Oh,
I
okay.
typically call it FEA, finite element analysis. And
Okay.
they developed their own, which I believe they call DMA.
Okay.
Which is what they developed the W7 motor. You look inside of a W7 motor, you're like, okay, thin top plate, long coil, it should have a lot of excursion, right? But that in and of itself doesn't lend itself to a flat BL curve, which what they did with the DMA analysis, all those holes that they drilled in the pole actually changes like the saturation levels and whatnot to give them the flat BL curve and the sound that you're accustomed to with the W7. Of course, the fantastic spider has a phenomenal spider.
So you just kind of touched on something, the FAA.
Correct.
So let's go to our next voicemail, which actually has a little bit to do with that. We could talk more about how you do that.
Let's do this.
So let's go. This is from a guy named Steve, Steve Clark. Steve, thank you very much.
What an awesome name, Steve. By the way, Steve is the name of Jacob's Labradoodle.
Correct.
Yes.
Steve.
And that is an awesome dog.
Every
With
time,
an awesome name, Steve.
every time Jake yells at Steve, God damn it, Steve! People are
Steve
looking
shit
at-
on the carpet again. Damn that Steve.
It's a Minecraft character too. I thought that's,
That's
where
true,
I
yeah.
thought that's where you got the name. I really did.
Oh.
For
Well, Donnie worked at GameStop for like 40 years, so.
Actually, the funny thing is, I believe Nick Lemons actually came up with the Steve name when we were in college. He's like, man, if I had like a cat or something, I would call him Steve. And everybody would be like, who the hell's Steve?
So let's listen to Steve's voicemail.
better not be Barks.
Hey guys, my name is Steve. Big fan of your products. Been designing and building boxes and systems for about 30 years now, and competing in some quality the past several years. Currently running 2 SA12s in my car, and I love how they perform. Done many builds with various lines of your 12s, 15s, 18s. I even got a 8-inch as a surprise me item in the yard sale once, and recently built it into a badass arcade cabinet.
Cool.
Anyway, always been happy with the sound and quality of everything with the Sundown name on it I've ever used. I was hoping maybe your podcast could take us through the process of creating a new subwoofer from conception to prototyping to final production. Just walk us through how you approach the whole process and why certain choices are made along the way. Just something I know I personally like to maybe other people with you. Anyway, thanks, guys.
So Jake, before you answer that, and I guess you could think about your answer, I want the people to see this kick-ass arcade system this guy made.
Oh man.
Oh.
All right.
And
It's
I
pretty
do like
badass.
I do like video games.
Look at this. Now, I,
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
I saw this. It was about a year ago, I believe, on Facebook. He had it posted in a bunch of different
It's
places.
really awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, he uses a single, was it, I think it was SA8. I believe
Correct.
it's E8
Correct.
or SA8. So he used one of our woofers. You can see there's a gain knob right there.
Wait a minute. Hold on. That's a thing for a pinball. Isn't that like a pinball machine?
The roller deal right here? This?
No,
No,
no.
this thing,
All
dude.
the way
Oh,
to the
that.
right. Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome.
That's probably some kind of a button of some sort. I guess I'll have to ask. Maybe it's like a
Oh,
pressure sensitive
Badass,
thing.
man.
That is. There's a
Simulate
lot
pinball.
of thought into that thing.
That's what that looks like. Isn't that what it looks
I
like?
want to
there?
come over to Steve's house and play this. Steve, I guess was it Wisconsin? Does he say he was?
Is
Was
it?
Or Minnesota?
Dream
He's somewhere up
Theater.
there in the cold area. So I would love to.
Are you talking about the Dream Theater?
Yeah, it was cool.
Is that the Dream Theater we know, or is there another thing?
No.
Talking about the
is.
band?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's got to be. So
What are you talking about?
never mind. Let's talk about the
Dream Theater.
the cabinet there.
That might be. I bet you it has something to do with audio or video. I don't know. We'll find out. Anyway, yeah, it's a really kick-ass arcade system that he built. Like I said, I've seen many pictures of it. I want to come over and play this. I don't know if it's a computer with like a ROM system built into it, or if it's actual old school like 16 or 18-bit system. I don't know what it is, but
I'm gonna come over with a bunch of quarters.
dude, I wonder if you have to.
You're probably invited now.
Basic parts kits.
Can you?
Yeah, you can buy parts kits that come with like your buttons and processor and everything, and you just build your own cabinet. It's
No
all-
shit. Do you have to use like a computer or something,
I
or?
think it comes already with like a processor.
Oh, it's. I bet you it's like a Raspberry Pi type of thing, like a really small.
I've never built one, but
Donnie,
I've seen them.
Do you want to
Dude.
fight me on Tekken on that?
They
I want to
sell
beat
that
you on
get the
Tekken
whole
on
layout.
that.
Like it's already got the main console part. You just build the cabinet and install your monitor.
When
and
you're
plug it in.
if you want to talk, get a little bit closer to that mic. We can kind of hear you. Oh,
And then he
And
doesn't
now,
talk.
and now he's done.
all right.
Shit, I'm sorry for interrupting.
Anyway,
man.
so Jake, get us through the process of how the subwoofers go through the prototyping process, because I don't know if you guys know, but when we are making a brand new subwoofer, there are multiple prototypes that come come through this building. That's a lot of money.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of prototypes
What's
come
most
through.
Prototypes you've ever done on one subwoofer.
STs. It's
think
got to
of
be STs. It's got to be.
No, I would say no.
No?
Probably the Nightshade version 4, actually. I went through
Really?
many,
Oh, yeah.
many iterations and many
Oh,
thousands of
yeah.
dollars.
All the casting. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's many thousands of dollars in the Nightshade
If
version
you
4.
guys ever come here and do a tour, which
Please do.
don't do too
Please.
many times, because I'm the one who usually does.
Oh,
Anyway,
bad.
if you ever come into this building, we can show you. There's like 5 different casts of Nightshade motors.
Correct.
They're not fully built. It's just like the outside cast of it. Yeah, all sorts of different shapes and sizes. So
Correct.
Yeah, I can see, and that's probably got to be one of the most
Maybe
expensive
like
ones.
a display, like build a
Yes.
cabinet or a wall somewhere.
Yeah, I would like to do that.
Ooh.
That would be awesome.
Totally need to do like an actual room where people, if
Like
they
a-
come in, there's the room.
We would be like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Just
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's get
Like a
let's
timeline?
go back to the question real quick. So how does the prototyping process work, Jake?
Right. Well, usually I start out with an idea in my head. I think it through. Generally, the first step of actual development is I'll get in my FEA program, which the FEA for the motor, 2D FEA simulation. At this point, I basically have a good idea of how much motor force I need, and that's the main parameter I look at, BO squared by RE. So I look at that, and I have a good idea at this point in my design career after all these designs, how much motor force I need relative to the desired compliance and mass to get a mid-Q. Generally, I design my woofers around a mid-Q, which by mid-Q I mean somewhere around 0.4 to 0.5. So if you have a woofer with a 0.4 to 0.5 Q, you're really flexible with your enclosure. It's going to work pretty good sealed, although our stuff tends to veer more towards ported. But it works good, relatively good and sealed, good and ported, and really good in a fourth order. Fourth order is big. Most of our stuff is kind of designed around the ported fourth order mentality. So the second phase after design the motor is I basically send a list of the motor parts and the desired compliances. And at this point in time as well, I also have the ability to do like 3D FEA simulations on spiders, and then we tool the spider. If necessary, we tool the surround and a cone body, and I have a physical prototype made. So I bring the physical prototype in, run it through all of its paces, find anything that I'm not happy with, and then I go back to the drawing board.
Which
for the second
happens
prototype.
often.
Yeah, it happens all the time because I'm very picky, and I've gotten to the point now where I can listen to a woofer in free air, and I can basically tell you what it's going to do. I can push on the cone, listen to it in free air, and I'm like, no, that's not going to work very well in a fourth order, or what have you. I'd say one of the few woofers that really breaks my mid-Q mold is probably the Nightshade version 4. It tends to veer into the 0.3s just because it's such a strong motor. But that's kind of the process I follow with everything. Go to idea to FEA to prototype, try it out. We throw it in boxes and all that. And there's a lot of just manual testing as well, just to get it. Because simulations only get you so far. Simulations will get you 75, 80% of the way there. The rest of it is hands-on.
Right. So one thing we need to point out is, since 2 years ago, before 2 years ago, things weren't FEA optimized, I guess you can say, right?
The motors have been for many, many years.
We're talking about. Let's talk
The
soft
soft
parts.
parts. Soft parts are probably going on 2 years of full FEA, and that's why you kind of see the evolution of our spiders. Well, you might not even see that, actually. So, for example, if you look at like a ZV515, that's a 4th generation spider. So this is kind of behind the scenes. The overall compliance remains the same. The mass remains about the same. So to the end user looking at the Thiel small sheet, you're like, I don't really see anything. But we're increasing linearity, we're increasing ruggedness, and so on and so forth. Even it comes down to little things like, would it be easier to glue this together if I change the inside angle, or the roll or whatever?
So
Yeah, nothing is just thrown together.
Right. And, you know, and in the beginning,
amazing.
it was slightly that way where you're like, oh, this is cool. Let's draw this out and see if it works. And it worked many times.
Yes.
But now, you know, the competition is getting really strong, and we have to be perfect on everything now.
Right. Well, also, our woofers are so good now, it takes quite a bit to beat the previous generation.
Right.
Especially if we're looking at it in terms of, can I sell this to the customer at the price that I want to sell it at? You know, that's where we come back to the SA12 again.
Yeah.
I've had ideas to make the SA12 better, but to make the SA12 better makes it more expensive.
Jake's been trying to make the SA12 better since I've worked here.
Since I've worked here.
Correct. Now,
Since I've worked here.
correct.
For the last 4 months.
4 months.
Right, and you can make like I said, I've come up with stuff that
He hasn't stopped.
is louder or more powerful or what have you.
But the price point.
But it could get more expensive. Or,
Yeah.
for example, if I make it louder, the Q gets too low, and I sacrifice low-end output, you know. And that's another thing I'm very passionate about in my design philosophy. You know, I like my woofers to work in small boxes, and that's leads me to another discussion. People would often look at our woofers, you know, people that consider themselves the small gurus are like, oh, the sensitivity seems a little low there, Mr. Fuller. And I'm like, well, that's because it works in a tiny box. You know, why should I have a 5 cubic foot ported box for a 12 when I can put it in 1.5 to 2 cubes?
Yeah.
Power's cheap, and our woofers handle power, and that's leads me to another thing. One of my large focuses on designing my woofers is airflow through the motor, which the SA12 was the first one that I really refined that on with the vent rings and the vent holes in the pull vent diameter, sorry. So all these things have to be the right size, so you get your flow to be biased in a certain direction, because just a giant pole, the air tends to just fluctuate in and out, and you actually get essentially zero net cooling. So what we do is we try to build velocity, directional velocity, and that's why the vent rings, you'll see that they're actually kind of like a triangle. So the air tends to flow in one direction more than another, and it increases thermal power handling drastically.
And let's pause on that, because a lot of people think that the more venting in general, whether it's in the motor, you know, either gap vents or pole vent, or you know, you got vented spacers, you got vented
Right.
frames. They think all that extra
Yeah.
open air is good for the woofer when it's not. You're not
Right.
building the pressure you need to be
More
able
is not better.
Yeah.
I think of subwoofer airflow as kind of like a circuit, and I would call that a short circuit scenario. If you have too much venting, basically nothing's happening.
Yeah.
You have to have just the right amount. You
And-
gotta have pressure. You don't have too pressure to make it loud. You don't want the air to be too loud, and you don't want obviously the air to blow the dust cap off, which again on the NSV4 takes like a 7500 at a half ohm to do. But that's a consideration. That's something our customers do, and I reacted to that. You know, I feel like a lot of companies are like, oh, it's a 3,000 watt sub. They put 10K on it and blow off the dust cap, whatever. Not me. I'm like, you know what? People that are putting 10K on it, I don't want them to have a problem, no matter what they're doing.
Yeah. If you think about it, you know, like a lot of these Neo motors you see on the market today, they have that pillar design. They've got all that air between the pillars. You see the coil. Obviously, there's no pressure buildup on the bottom end. Then you got a vented frame at the same time. There's no way to cool that down fast enough. And of course, they're going to blow the coil.
Yeah, that design has some of its own merits. There's something to be said for open air cooling. It's not my preferred method, and I believe, and my testing confirms that it's less efficient than forced air.
Steve just got the most precise answer for his question,
Yeah.
like ever.
Wow.
Hopefully I covered everything.
Steve is MVP
So-
of the evening.
So to bring it all back to the beginning, you know, from here on now, from here on, everything's gonna be FAE optimized, and that means your spider and your surround are going to work together. And what happens, Jake, when they move up, instead of one? Because before, if we had too big of a surround and the spider started to stiffen up, you know, during throw,
Right, so
there was still more that the surround can go.
So what Brian's getting at, like, for example, everyone that's seen both of them knows that the Mega Roll V1 is bigger than the V2. The Mega Roll V1 was before I had a lot of this FEA simulation capability. It was new. I was trying something drastic. Now, the Mega Roll V1 was excessive. That, by excessive, I mean the Mega Roll V1 was essentially linear well beyond what the frame can even handle. So what you would end up doing is I liken it to having a race engine with no rev limiter. So it just keeps going and going and going. You're just beating the spider to death. So you can imagine like the spider is like the piston and the rods in that engine. And it's just screaming for mercy. And the woofer doesn't complain. There's still essentially no distortion. So you're just going to be overdriving, and you won't hear anything. So going to the Mega V2, I pushed a little bit of the compliance back into the surround with a different shape. And that different shape is also more linear within the desired range. Now I'm actually working on Mega Roll V3, which is going to implement fast technology, which I'm not going to tell you what that stands for right now. But that is a further advancement using 3D FEA, which allows me to dial in the compliance overstroke on the surround. So I can actually completely mimic the compliance curve of the Spider in the surround. Without doing it purely with geometry, I can do it with 3D effects on the surround.
Yep, and the 3D effects, if you've ever seen anything like it, it's basically, you've got something moving. I think it starts out as a blue or green, and as things get tighter and tighter, it turns red.
Yeah, that's what the simulation
So that shows like how it would react to
movement.
Yeah, it's showing stress points.
That's awesome. Holy
It's
cow.
essentially showing stress points.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah. So it's pretty kick-ass. So I want to thank the people that left voicemails. God, there were so many of them. There were so many good questions. I didn't really know
We're not done, right?
Oh, no, we're not done.
Okay. Usually, I want to thank everybody. That's
No,
like
we're not done.
when
This is
going to
go on for 5 more hours.
Whoa.
So no, I just wanted to get to the point where I wanted to thank Bryan, Steve, and Jeremy especially. You guys are going to get all the new swag, or not new swag, you're just going to get some
the
swag.
best swag.
Here's what it looks like.
Greatest swag.
The one that Donnie didn't take.
Yeah.
So you're going to
Or
get a
set on
t-shirt. It's not necessarily going to be orange. It's going to be whatever we have in
You
stock.
want it to be
But
orange.
if you want the burnt shirt, we can send that one.
Yeah.
You're welcome
Part
to
of the lore of this show now.
yeah, you're welcome to tell us what color you're interested in, and maybe we can do it if we have it.
You're going to have to take that shirt off. We're going to have to tack it to the wall.
Right. You're also
It
going to
goes
get
up
a
on the wall.
koozie. You're also going to get a lanyard, and you're also going to get some decals. So thank you very much,
Bravo,
you guys,
bravo.
for that. I actually there were some very good questions, and we're gonna go ahead and play those voicemails when we actually kick this thing off and do episode 1. Again, this is just a pilot.
Jake, you have to save some stuff for the other episodes.
Yeah, you can't put it all out now.
I got more. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah, dude.
So, yeah, I think the only guy who didn't get back to me yet is Bryan. So Bryan, if you are listening or watching this, I would like you to get just return the text message that I sent you.
Brian's probably like, well, my name's Bryan. I never win anything.
Yeah, exactly. So, by the way, Jake, can you top me off, please, sir?
When does this get
I also need to be topped
So
off.
I'm gonna upload this. I'm gonna edit it tonight. I'm gonna upload it tomorrow, or it's gonna upload it tomorrow.
Derrick, you should say something in Sundown Unofficial.
By the way,
That would
again,
be awesome.
if you guys aren't subscribed yet, you have to subscribe to Derrick's channel. It's Sundown Unofficial.
I didn't want to throw that out there. I actually thought about bringing my camera in and doing like an unofficial behind the scenes.
Yeah, dude.
It'll be
so
like
cool.
showception.
Cool. That's
That'd be
cool.
like an entire little skit on my channel.
Yeah.
Throw
Yeah.
everybody to this
So
channel.
so Derrick's channel is basically the behind the scenes shit going on at Sundown. He also throws in some tech stuff as well.
But well, for
Um,
me, it's
we
like
do a lot of tech stuff
Yeah.
here, and no one ever
Well-
sees it. And then we get asked the questions. I'm like, well, I'm gonna start doing a whole tech series for all the questions.
But
people
see,
ask.
for me, it's really cool because I'm still learning. I'm brand new, and for me, it's almost like training modules. Like, you know how you get a new job and you have to do all these silly training modules, and there'll be a quiz at the end. Yeah, it's kind of like that for me. It's awesome.
Here at
I'm
Sundown,
very
we
thankful.
don't have training modules. We throw
No, we
your
do.
ass-
It's called Sundown
we
Unofficial.
throw your ass into this shitstorm.
Into the fire.
Everyone should know this about Donnie. He has approximately 7 decades of experience in retail.
well, we still got to introduce ourselves, so maybe I'll get
Hey,
to
Donnie,
that.
you go first, buddy.
I don't want to go first. You go
You-
first.
we're
You're
already
Bryan.
talking about
You're-
you. Just do it,
okay,
man.
Yeah, sure. So,
Go, bro.
Yeah, so I'm Jake's cousin, so I've known him my whole life. But I've been doing retail for a very long time, 12 years, and Jake actually offered me a job years ago. It was actually funny because Brandon called me and he's like, "Hey, we're gonna do an interview." I was like, "What? We're gonna do an interview?" And he's like, "Yeah, you got the job." I'm like, well, "Hold on now." And at that time, I was living in Orlando, and I was like, "I can't just uproot and move from Orlando." So I didn't take the job, and I still did retail. And up till 4 months ago, I made that leap. And actually, there's a Sundown Unofficial video where I talk about that a little bit and talk about my background. But I've been doing retail for so long, man. And I really what drew me to this was Jake's passion, and working with family. Jake has an amazing passion for this. Oh, and Bryan. I like Bryan, too. Bryan and I actually went to high school together. So we, back in the day, used to party and stuff. I'm sure
Thomas was involved, too.
Yeah. We'll probably...
You guys are going to hear so many stories.
We'll probably share some of those stories. There's some really good ones where I don't set myself on fire.
There's many where you do.
There's some where I do, yeah.
Remember that time you set my phone on fire?
Oh my God! I forgot about
Which time was that?
I had a very nice cell phone. I was very proud of this cell phone. It was I had one, them somewhat cloth outdoor chairs that they go to shit after about a year. So Donnie sat in it and it broke. Oh, and I had my phone in the cup holder in the chair, and I didn't realize it. I was like, "Oh, just throw the chair in a fire."
Whoops.
Yep.
The phone was in there.
Yep.
I do remember that. I forgot about that. I repressed that.
I really liked that phone. I really liked that phone.
I'm so sorry, man.
Was it a Motorola Razr?
It was a Motorola Photon is what it was called, I believe. I loved that. Was many years ago. I loved that phone.
Yeah.
It's all your fault, Donnie. You owe me a phone.
That's cool. I probably owe you
it's one of them little
things.
phones. It's in the computer.
Well, anyway, so yeah, I guess I did set Bryan's phone on fire. So sorry about that.
That's a job requirement. Anybody that wants to work here has to set Bryan's phone on fire.
Yeah, but anyway, so I'm really excited to be given this opportunity again, I guess. But yeah,
so right now we have Donnie. When we brought him on, let me. There's.
Oh, let me real fast. Let me just share something. So I'm working in the office right now, and I really don't know a ton about car audio. So it's kind of like I'm learning on this show, which is really neat. But yeah, this is very new to me.
Yeah.
Donnie, you're doing a great job, Donnie.
Donnie's like a sponge. Thanks. He's 30 now, right? 30? 31?
Unfortunately, I'm 30.
And he's still a sponge, just taking up all the good information. But anyway.
Derrick's our grandfather.
So right now we have Donnie in kind of helping out in the office. So originally we brought him on as like a floater. We call the new people the floaters. We call them the dudes, right? Right, Thomas?
The dude guy.
The dude guy.
It's the dude guy.
So we brought on Donnie, and basically we have him. In the beginning you were prepping, and
I was working prep with Giovanni.
You were doing
everyone's
some stuff in the build
been
room.
a dude guy.
Yeah, exactly.
At one
all
point.
of us.
Yeah.
I almost forgot that. Thomas, didn't you answer the phone for a while?
I answered the phone for a
Twice.
while. I remember building orders, testing them, packing them, and shipping them myself.
That was when you were the fourth employee here, I believe.
I was the
Was
third.
it third? Okay, so it was me, Brandon, you, then my mom. Everyone's probably talked to my mom on the phone.
Yeah.
Debbie,
Yeah.
Debbie on the phone. That's my mom.
Yeah, I was before Debbie, and that's a hilarious story how I got hired here that I can talk about later.
So Donnie basically, for the most part, he's been helping me out because I go nuts in the office.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's my anxiety gets a little high, so I got one of my best friends here helping me out in the
Oh,
office.
thanks, buddy. Even though I set your phone on fire. See, that's real friendship.
Brian's got low standards.
Yeah.
He's not a technical guy, but we're trying to build him up to that. But for the most part, he's helping with dealer orders and just kind of doing simple emails, just the bullshit that I had that was kind of building up that I couldn't get to fast enough. So Donnie's helping with that.
And too, I'm really excited to be doing this because even when I wasn't working, I would come in visiting. I lived in Indianapolis for a little while, and that was one of the cool things I looked forward to was coming in here in the smoke room. For those of you that don't know, this was our smoke room before it was Sundown after dark, and this was like my peaceful time because when I came in from out of town, it was like, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. It was pulled so many different ways, and when I came here, I got to sit down with Thomas, Jacob, and Bryan and have a cigar, and I love cigars. Oh my gosh! So this is like an embodiment of what that was, and even though I don't know a ton about car audio, I get to live this. This is really cool. So I just wanted to share that. I think it's really neat.
Well,
Good eye, Donnie.
Thank you very much, Johnny.
Hey, thanks.
So
Thanks, boss.
Thomas, you're over there, buddy. You're the next guy in line.
Again, actually, what are we talking about?
You're
still?
introducing yourself, Thomas.
Who are you? Why are you here?
Okay.
Who are you and why are you here?
Okay, again, I've
Get the fuck off my lawn!
Brian, you made me spill my drink on myself.
This escalated. Okay, so I've literally known Jacob all of my life, Donnie all of my life, and I have known Bryan and Derrick for approximately a decade, plus or minus.
We used to have a band together.
It wasn't really a band.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that too.
Yeah.
I remember
But
that.
you
That
know,
was fun.
like
Yeah.
we
Was it called
all...
Pizza Underground, I believe it was?
What?
Actually, what was it even called? I don't even remember.
I
That's
just
Macaulay
sa-
Culkin's band.
I was supposed to be the singer, and I just sang about shitting on people's lawns.
Yeah, he just kind of mumbled into the mic. He was the
And
original
even though I was a drummer.
mumble rapper.
Yeah. I was learning to play guitar, and I kind of threw that in the trash. And Thomas.
And I'm the only one that's still a musician to this
Yeah,
day, but
yeah.
no one cares about us. So
Let's go back to you, Thomas. Sorry about that.
No, it's totally fine.
It ain't about you.
So I've known Jake my whole life, and I knew Jake when his previous jobs and I remember when he got into car audio and just he was like, dude, you remember that system I had last month? It ain't nothing now. And we listened to the same music, so my family would go over to his family's house, and he'd be like, you got to check this out.
Thomas, what was the demo track at the time?
Mudvayne?
Dig.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Mudvayne, and that's a band that I hold very dear.
Thomas knows
my
the
heart.
guy, bass
The
player.
bass player. Now I've gotten to know and meet him, and that's another
And you
crazy
thing.
thing.
Your band opened for him too.
Yeah, and,
I was
and
there. That was awesome.
The band that I played with has.
Let's
has
give a big
opened.
shout out to Ramey.
Ramey.
Yep.
Thomas is in the band, Ramey, right now. And the guy he's referring to right now, for those who aren't familiar with Mudvayne, the guy's name is Ryan Martini.
Ryan Martini, and that man is the primary inspiration for why I ever picked up an instrument.
Maybe
which
one
is,
of the best bass players ever.
Yeah, kick-ass
Oh
dude.
yeah, absolutely. And so I'm an electric bass player.
So yeah, if you want to check out some of their music, it's what, Rayme.
Raimee.
Yeah,
All right.
that's the
Ramey.
band Thomas is in right now.
So that's the
they've
band that
got
I'm
a
in.
Facebook page,
Correct.
and they tour around North Carolina for the most part. So
Yeah,
check them
from
out.
Raleigh to Greensboro, Winston-Salem to Charlotte. That's our territory.
Yeah.
So that's what we do, and normally when I'm doing that, I look a lot scarier. So
I wish
Put
we
on
had
the
a
makeups.
picture we could.
so yeah, we and Jake had this huge like passion for car audio, and then he was just like working his jobs and doing his thing, and again one day I just show up and I see these logos, much like this one right here, and he was like, I'm starting my company, and I was like, sweet. And then that was the end of the conversation, like seriously. And like some time goes on, and like he really did it, like he started it and he did the thing. And I went to college, and I was kind of an artsy guy. I was seeking graphic design, much like these logos and everything like that. And by the time I was at the end of college, I hated it, and I never wanted to like do it again. And I had like kind of an early quarter life crisis, but I finished and I got my degree, so I did that. And then I was just working at a grocery store for a little while, and I was waiting on interviews and things like that. And then Jake just one weekend just like called me up, and he was just like, dude, we're going out. Let's go, man. He was like, let's go bar hopping. So I was like, all right. And I did. And, we're just going out and we're having a couple beers, and we're sitting there. And I remember saying something. I was just like, man, I don't know what to do with my life. And then Jacob just took a big old swig, and
Just like that.
and he looks over at me and goes, you should come work for me. And then I said, fuck you, or whatever I said. And then I showed up on Tuesday,
It's always a Tuesday. Dude.
and I haven't stopped ever since. I'm just and here we are. And I've watched the company grow, because it was Jacob, and then it was Brandon, and then it was me. I've watched like everything happen, and it's just like it's the wildest, craziest
What do
thing
you
to
do
me.
here, Thomas?
Well, I am a builder now, but again, like I used to have knowledge in everything, but I'm sure the game has changed now. I'm like, I wouldn't know how to ship anymore.
No, it's still pretty similar.
Send me one of them SAZ 3000s, Thomas.
I've
streamlined the process.
I remember when we used to have to like manually pack like every box and like make
the
sure
amps didn't have the foam in them at that time.
Yeah.
They had the standard cardboard, and we would add bubble wrap and things like that.
Yeah, I remember when we were still just like doing everything ourselves, and to me that was really awesome because I respect, you know, the craft and everything because I graduated kind of an artsy guy, so I became
the same kind of care and attention to his Wolfers he builds.
I'm getting to that, you know. So like that it sounds silly, but like that's why I took a liking to building the Wolfers. I personally like to look at it as crafting a Wolfer. Like I look at it as
Everyone's a masterpiece.
It is a piece of art.
I look at it as a sculpture, essentially.
Yep.
Again, being
and
like
that's
an
how a
art
Wolfer builder should do. You know, build his.
And
Wolfers.
it's all about like craftsmanship, and it's all got to be perfect, and like the NSV4s and the Team Sundowns, like those don't go out of here looking like less than a Rolex to me. Like it's got to be perfect. That's just how I am, and I've been doing this for almost 8 years now. And
God, are you tired of it yet? Jesus, fuck.
Again, I've been here for a while, you know. But
I built woofers on you know just 2 hours a day, and I was already burnt out from it.
I mean,
Jesus,
He's got thick skin. This one.
We know why Thomas is so ornery.
Yeah, you know, kind of a grump ass, but
Yeah.
you know,
We love you, though.
Probably find that out like as more episodes.
Thomas
go on.
went to college.
I went to college.
Yeah, but you hold on. You said you hated college, but you liked the college life, though, right? I know, like when I went to college, I
Party.
loved like going to, like being in college was cool.
No, I wouldn't trade it. Like I'm glad it happened. It kind of molded.
I agree.
Me,
quite
I went to
expensive,
college.
you know.
I did not finish, but I learned a lot.
Hold on. Jake just said something amazing.
Yeah.
What is
He
that?
went to college. He didn't finish.
That's
And
true.
look
That's
where
absolutely
Western
true.
Carolina Catamounts
is.
Go Catamounts.
Yep. I'll tell you what.
Topic all by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just a
That-
brief thing. I didn't finish because I didn't have a passion for what I was studying. I was studying electronics engineering, and the focus was on digital, and audio is not digital for the most part. It's mostly analog power. And I was very disenchanted, I believe is the correct word to use here. But I learned a lot. I actually considered changing my major to philosophy, and I have a lot of philosophies on life and running a business, and that's why Sundown is the way it is.
Sure is the philosopher.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, we will talk way more about that at a different time. But Thomas,
Downsides of college.
I mean that's pretty much it, man. I've been here for 8 years.
So right now Thomas is basically the one of the head builders in the build room.
Senior builder.
We don't have many builders, but Thomas is
pretty
the
much
dude.
pretty much anything the company makes, I can recone or I can build.
A lot, and especially during the primitive times when everything was CA glue. And you had to cut everything. Everything was.
I know
nearly
the
custom back
process
then.
for every woofer, the glues that were used.
Back when we were packing
everything.
spiders.
Did you sand frames like with sandpaper?
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
That's crazy because
By hand, every single one of
That's
those.
what I started doing, and we use like a sander, and I'll do like 20 of them. And I'm like, God, man, this sucks.
Imagine how your wrist would feel
Thomas used sandpaper
every day.
Yeah, sandpaper. It wasn't like sandpaper. It was like gravel glued to paper. It was pretty coarse.
It's a quarter of a
36 grit.
It's a quarter of a sanding disc.
Yeah. Yeah, we take a sanding disc and we cut it into quarters, and we just
And
go to
back
town.
then, and
Wow, that's
we won't get
crazy
into
to
this
me,
too
man.
much, but when you're building a subwoofer, essentially you don't have to sand it all the way down to the bare metal. Actually, sometimes it's better to have a little bit of paint on there, and you kind of grit into it real deep with some like heavy grit sandpaper, and the glue would almost adhere to that better in some cases,
Really?
depending on the glue that you're using.
yeah.
But anyway, that's the kind of way we did it back
every
then.
glue is variable.
It's different now how we do things, but yeah.
We'll not get into the whole glue thing this time.
Yeah, we're not gonna reveal all of our
There's
secrets.
going to be
Jake-
a whole episode on glue. Sorry,
Jake, let's swing that microphone over to Derrick since he's in here. Let's
Absolutely.
get his story on things.
Hold on. I want to see. We need to get Thomas next year, Slamology, a build station in the Sundown booth. You got to do some demonstrations.
Demonstration? I don't want to give away all the secrets. Am I allowed to do that?
You pull the curtain back.
I don't know if
there's
there's
a secret.
But-
we'll figure something out.
I'm so
There's
excited.
so there's a reason why there are professional builders, and then there's I know a guy. You know, like, come on.
Anyway, we still get you. I don't care if you're just dropping recones in, just gluing them down.
All right.
I want to
We'll
hear.
see. We'll see. It's
Put on a
tentative.
demonstration for people. We're gonna set it up, advertise it online. 1:00, the Sundown booth.
You got to buy.
You're doing this because you know I
You,
hate attention.
No, you got to buy
Okay.
tickets.
So-
You got to buy tickets,
So
right?
Derek,
We're gonna
bring
make sure everyone's got the cameras rolling.
Yeah.
Derek, bring that microphone towards the left side of your face so that you can see the red light, and then go ahead and talk into it.
I don't see a red light.
You're backwards, Brian.
Red light's over here.
Jesus, Jake, how the
Which-
hell do you have that thing set up?
Which
Okay.
side?
Don't
You
worry about it.
want to talk
Don't-
towards the red light.
Can
So
you hear me now?
however
Yeah,
that
I can-
works.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right.
There
So
you go.
You can hear me now.
All right, so this is Derrick Haddock. Go ahead.
How far back do I
All
go?
the way back.
Jesus.
So,
to birth.
so Sundown started 2006, and you were competing even before that, right?
Oh, long before that. But
Let's hear
I'm-
about that.
I'm way older than most people guess, and don't dare tell anybody because I'm probably gonna do I'm gonna arrange a giveaway at some point.
How
Somebody's
old
gonna
is
have to guess my
Oh
real age.
man.
So I'm way older than most people realize. And if I go way back, I first got introduced into car audio in the 80s because I'm way older than what I seem, but so is my brother, who's considerably older than me. And
Still acts like a 14-year-old.
to make it short, my first introduction to car audio was cruising around with my brother in his 76 Cutlass Supreme with the aftermarket stereo, and that was how I got to school back then. So, and that was in the 80s, you know. So that was my first introduction. Fast forward to my first competition was 20 years ago in 1998. That's when I first started competing, and that was all amateur. I didn't dive in hard, I would say, until 2007.
1998. That's when Charlie was born.
Pretty much, yeah, yeah. Longer than
1988.
98.
Oh, okay.
1998 was my first car stereo competition, and yeah, I was a mini trucker back in the 90s. You know, back when all that shit first started, I was been a mini trucker for a long time, and yeah. So, anyways, fast forward, I dove into competition hard in '97.
What subs were you using back then?
Almost all Rockford. I was a Team Rockford guy for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, almost all Rockford. There's even, you can find some old videos of mine where
The
I was
old-
playing
the old-
around with
the old
kicker
punches?
CVRs and stuff.
Dude, the old from like
I was a huge
late 90s, early 2000 punches. Dude, I fucking love those.
Yeah. Well, I had tons of them.
Yeah, and the old CVRs too.
I had Rockford stuff going all the way back to like the old waffle makers.
Did you use the
I had
old
old Punch 45s.
Did you use the old like tan colored kicker comps? I think they were CVRs. But
No,
when
no.
the CVR first came out.
I didn't start messing. I just bought kicker CVRs just to play with. I was like, hey, these things are cheap. You can beat them up. So I bought them. That was the end of the 2000s. But you know, my first Rockford amps were old Punch 45s. I'm on the ones so old they had wires coming out. You had like 10 gauge wires coming out, and you had to like twist tie these things and hook them up in a car.
So they had direct leads.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. That was all the amps back then did.
I remember the old direct lead amps. The amps that had like wires coming off.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Holy shit.
These were amplifiers. Yeah, I had a pair of Punch 45s in a 1981 Toyota Corolla on a pair of old ass kicker solo barracks, way back. Yeah, that's real.
Nice. So
I'm
how
dating
did you
myself a little bit there.
So how did you end up working here at Sundown?
All right, so fast forward, I became a competitor, and at the time I was running all Rockford. I had 2 competition vehicles that I ran, and I needed something more towards one of the classes that I was running. And there was a very specific criteria I needed, and the Sundown 1500 fit that criteria perfect. And it's something I don't know if I've ever even shared with most people. There was 2 amps that were at the top of my trying to buy list at the time. It was actually an Incriminator 20.1 and the SAZ 1500. And I actually really wanted the 20.1 because it was a little bit more powerful amp. But you like
That was
at
4,000 watts, right?
The 20.1?
20.1 back then wasn't it still considered 4,000
I mean, it was
watts?
technically a 2K, but kind of an underrated 2K. Like, hell, I think you could almost get 3,000 watts out of them things back then. if you wired them
I
into the
think
dirt.
they're
And they were tanks.
I think now they're considered. They say 20.1, but I think they're 4,000 watts rated now.
I don't know what they are now.
By the way, Incriminator, kick-ass guys, check them out too.
Yeah.
Nick Wright is awesome.
He's such a cool guy.
Yeah, so basically, at this period of time, you could not buy a 20.1 anywhere. Like, I think they were sold out, even used. The people that had them were like, I'm not getting rid of them. So my next best option was the 1500. I found some 1500s online, bought one. Refurbs, right? Well, I found one used because I wanted to get one to try it out. Found one used, bought it, then we bought another one, and then I got with DBR. Bought my third, was actually a refurb from DBR. And then, so that's when I grabbed my first amps. Jake came out with the Nightshade version 1s, and as soon as they dropped, I'm like, I got to have them. Hit him up, bought some, got onto Team Sundown.
About what time was that?
That was 2008.
Okay.
I don't know the exact month. Whatever month they dropped, it was like as soon as he came out with them.
I would say 2008 is when something happened, and Sundown became something. Obviously, it takes a little bit of time to become something. Sundown became something in 2008. Something like a switch. I guess it's the subwoofers, right?
Well, it started, as mainly like internet based. That started there and just got super
and back
popular.
Then it was the forums.
Instantly.
Back then it was the forum.
All the forums, Realm of Excursion, Cardio Classifieds didn't even exist back then. It was cardio.com, Sound Domain.
A lot of those have closed down because when I started here, I saw the little tab on the website that said forums, and I was like, oh, cool, I can learn stuff here. And I click on it, and it's like 2004, 2005. Oh, I can't learn anything. Oh, no.
Yeah.
See, a lot of the forums are down now because everybody's gone to social media.
Okay.
But anyway, that's when I dove in. So I had the 1500s, bought some Nightshades, got on the Team Sundown, then became a sales rep, and then I'm trying to think of the timeline. Then I started. So like decals and T-shirts was one of my things that I did when I ran my own business from home back then. So then I started doing like decals and T-shirts for the company. Then I would come up and do box builds here and there, or just come up and help out. And I don't even know what year. There was at one point I was coming up like on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
We were going out to Vinny's every week.
Yeah, and all the
partying all
decals
night.
you guys get in your boxes are made by that guy right there. Still to this day.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I just got some coaxials for my car, and I don't think I got a decal.
We don't put decals in coaxials.
Uh-oh.
They're supposed to come with the little printed ones.
Derrick
already in them. So that's not my fault.
I want my decal.
Well, I can hook you up with a decal. But those are under a different category.
Sure.
I'm not responsible for those.
Sure.
But anyway, so I used to come up every week, hang out, do random stuff, do testing, and then I guess it would have been too early. It would have been beginning of 2013. It was just random. I was just up hanging out one day, and then Brandon just walked up to me like, "Hey, you want to work here?" And it was like almost just like that. Like caught me off guard. Like, dude, I don't even live here. Like I lived in a whole nother state. Like I lived in South Carolina at the time.
After he took a swig of beer and sat
well,
it down.
I was like kind of in shock. Like, how the hell am I going to work here? I don't even live around here. And I don't know. We just started thinking about it. I was like, I got a motorhome. I could bring that up. And I did. It was like, I don't know, because we had it was like a week or two later. We just brought the motorhome up. I set it up. I set it up in Jake's mom's yard.
Dude, I remember that too.
Before we moved into this building, you were living in that motorhome the whole time.
Yeah.
So that was like 4 or 5 months.
It was 6 months.
And on weekends you go see your family, I would assume,
yeah,
right?
I lived in a motorhome for 6 months when I first moved up here.
Dude.
Like we brought it up. I parked it in Grandma's yard and lived there in a motorhome in her yard for a while till we moved over here to Claremont, and then I brought it to Jake's house.
That's
and I had it parked in Jake's
that's
backyard.
Debbie Fuller, by the way.
I can only
Grandma.
We all call her Grandma.
We all call her Grandma.
I can only imagine what happened inside of that camper.
Now we're getting to the after dark segment.
You know what? So
it's getting more and more after dark.
I've had a decent amount of this. I'm really loose right now.
Oh no,
loosey
I don't
goosey.
know about the wildest story I could tell is July 4th that one year, and because my family was still, my wife and kids. They were all still
we went. Was it
did
July
at your
4th
house.
at my house? Yeah.
Yeah, we did it at your house. And my wife and kids were still in South Carolina for the first 6 months I was up here until I could, based on wanting my kids to get out of school, then we were moving over here at the time, so I had to kind of put off things till we got into this location, then find a place to live, and then get my family moved up. So there was a timeline of things that had to fall into place before I could finish moving up. So July 4th, I had them come up here and stay with me in the motorhome, and so the whole let's see, it was 3. So I came up in March, April, May, June. So 3 months in the motorhome, and my the Blackwater tank, basically the tank your shit into. So like, had only a fraction, stuff in it. I went and emptied it ahead of time in preparation for my 3 daughters coming up. They came up Friday, stayed Saturday and Sunday. They filled that tank up.
They blew that bitch
From
up.
Friday night to Sunday, they filled the whole tank up. What I didn't have this thing not even a quarter, because the first notch on the sensor is a quarter of the way. It wasn't even a quarter of the way in 3 months for what I did. They filled it up in literally 2 days.
Good God.
That's what you get for letting Bryan stay there for a little while.
Goodness.
But yeah, anyway, so yeah, I moved in I lived in a motorhome for the first 6 months, and
I
stayed
remember
up
those
here,
days. Yeah.
and then got me a house over here. I live right up a few miles right up the road in
Right.
Catawba, and
Yeah.
I
The rest
don't
is
know.
history.
did I skip
Derek's
anything?
too damn busy to make most of our shirts now. We have to freaking outsource our shirts. He
Yeah,
used
I don't make the
so-
shirts anymore.
So Derek
I
used
do
to make.
I do customs. Well, not for the public. Probably shouldn't say that. For anybody in the shop,
Yeah.
we need some hoodies. Somebody wants a custom shirt. We
I
knock
didn't know that.
We knock them out.
So Derek, for the
I
longest
just
time,
made
has
a whole
made
round
our
of hoodies for everybody.
for the
Where are you
longest
at?
time. Derek has made our decals.
Except for Donnie.
So for the longest time, Derek's made our decals. He still makes the decals. He does it at home and at work. He's got 2 different plotters, right?
I've got 4 machines total.
So
And I try and keep one has to keep running like almost all day while I'm at work, and then when I go home and I'm weeding decals.
we
at night,
won't
and I
touch
keep
on
the
this too
machine-
much, but you before you worked at Sundown, you were a competitor, but you were also working at a design place or a
Well, it depends on
vinyl place.
what time. So I worked at a huge graphics / sign company.
Yeah.
And I worked there. I was there 5 years, and I think basically they ended up shutting down.
Yeah.
Don't want to turn it into a long story, but they were a bunch of idiots running the place, and they ended up running themselves out of business, so to
Right.
speak. So I was there 5 years before they ended up shutting down, and so I did
So-
that for a while, and this was this was a multi-million dollar company, huge company. We did signs for for Ford, Lincoln, Mercury, General Motors, Nissan, all the banks.
That brings me to a. I
But
can't
when
think.
I left there, when I
had
left
too much
there,
It begins.
because they
It's the third act,
that company
everyone.
had to keep me around because I ran their graphic shop.
Right.
I ran graphics and paints. They had to keep me around, so they offered me a huge severance pay to stay around instead of jumping ship to go find
Did
another
you
job
take
quick.
said Pevrin?
Beverage.
God damn.
Yes, they gave me a really nice severance pay to stick
Severance.
around and help the company shut down, and so that gave me a decent little lump sum. I started my own company when I basically left there.
Did you have a plotter before that, or is that when you bought your plotter?
No, I just used all the work stuff back then. When I worked there, I just used everything at work.
So you were making
to do
Sundown
everything I was
decals
doing.
at your work?
Yeah,
Awesome,
Totally.
dude. Kick ass.
that's when I was one of the original decal guys on the forums back then too. So I started the dollar decal phase way back then, where I was just making decals for people for $1 shipped and shipping them, and man, I was making so much money doing that.
And you're still making money doing it?
Yeah. I don't do much for the public anymore. So
Right.
it's a lot just keeping up.
Yeah,
here.
we used to offer
swing
like
so much.
big windshield decals and stuff like that. I would like to say check out on Facebook DVS Designs. They can do some really cool. Yeah, that's basically the place I send people for. Yeah, Kyle Rutherford.
Kyle
and his wife.
Rutherford?
Yeah, that's Kyle.
Oh,
Yeah, and
Kyle
his-
is
and his wife.
Bay. Oh, yeah.
So basically, I send people there for the people that want like the custom decals, or for the people that want like the bigger, like the big windshield decals. I just send them there because
Yeah.
I know Derek doesn't have time to do it anymore.
Doesn't the shitting on him guy do that too?
Yeah, shit on does. He doesn't. Well, a lot of people make Sundown decals, but Derek's the main guy who makes Sundown decals. That comes in all the products.
Yeah. Well, I make them for here.
Yeah, for
I
here.
don't, because I did that for almost 5 years. I ran my own company out of my home because I didn't need a bunch of space to do what I did. But now I don't do much for the
we
public
will give
anymore.
we will give our vector file to anybody. It's free advertisement. If you want to make a decal, You
Yeah,
can make a
do it.
decal. Just,
Make your own
we don't have
decals,
anything
make your own
against it.
T-shirts.
I got a funny story on that.
Put it all out
I
there.
want one of those
Can I tell my
Clipposaurus
funny story?
decals.
Well, hold
Yeah.
up. You gotta. Hey. If you don't mind, because we might never have Derrick back on here or whatever.
No, we
That's
won't.
not true.
Definitely.
It's Derrick and he's here, so like I wanna like share a thing to the people listening, and I also want Derrick to know this. Oddly enough, Derrick has told me one of the most inspiring things I've ever heard. Do you know what I'm about to talk
I
about?
have no idea. I'm a little scared right now.
No, this is actually
fart story?
legit. No, it's not funny. Like
I call you a rock star all the time.
Well, that's the thing. Okay,
And
so
I know I've talked about like staying with the rock star, and
Derrick's
one
been
day
around.
you're gonna be on the private jet. partying
okay,
up, like,
so this is
finally made it.
kind of
Back when he first got off the Mayflower, he's learned a lot.
I don't think he's ever said anything
so
inspiring.
and this is like probably the most Derrick's ever talked to me. He was talking to me about like how music's going and how life is going and how everything's going, and I was just like, sometimes it's a struggle and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And he was just like, hey, you know what? Back when I was living in
Sumter.
no, in the camper, and he was like, I had to take a cold shower.
Oh, the cold shower story.
And he goes, I had to take a cold shower every day, but I knew every cold shower was one less cold shower. And it was like, and it was going towards my goal. And it was sort of kind of and it's like every shitty day is one less shitty day.
I'll bet you're still taking cold showers.
No.
Well,
Derrick's a cold motherfucker.
but he made it into this like very profound thing at the moment, because like
Yeah, I call that the cold shower story. It is. It's a.
and it was
It's a very
it
inspiring
was
story.
actually like kind of eye opening. It was like every like awful day is one less awful day. It's a step towards another thing. And then he was like, every cold shower is one less cold shower, and eventually my daughters will be here, my family will be here, and we won't be taking cold showers anymore. And I was just like, Derrick, I don't ever think I've heard you speak before. and then this happened, and to this day it actually inspires me. So thank you. Yeah.
All right, I want to
You
elaborate
put a
on
smile
the
on
cold shower
Derrick's face,
story.
by the way. It's very hard to get Derrick to smile.
Well,
We've all seen the meme.
I'm scared.
It was real shit. Like it was totally real, and I was
He
just
knows a
like,
thing or two about real shit.
a whole Blackwater tank of real shit.
So to elaborate on the cold shower story, this is how it went. So I'm living in a motorhome, and when I first came up, it was having problems with the hot water heater. So like it would just randomly cut out, and of course I wouldn't know it. And when I first moved up, it was still cold as hell up here. Like it was like 10 degrees, and I'm coming from South Carolina. I swear it was like 60 degrees where I'm from. I moved up here, it's like 10 degrees at night. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I come up, the hot water heater kept messing up and going out. I wouldn't even realize it till I get home from work. I go to take a shower. I got no hot water, zero. Of course, I'm first getting the motorhome. I didn't leave any heat or anything on, so I'm getting in a cold motorhome with cold water, taking a cold shower, coming home from work. But I just put myself through it because I believed in the company back then. I know I've had talks with Jake and told him, like, I believed in the company. I believed in the future of the company, that this was going to grow into be something great. So when I was presented with the opportunity to come on board full time and be permanent here like that, I was like, I saw this as a career, as a lifetime opportunity, not as, oh, I'm gonna go work this job for a little bit. This wasn't a job to me. This was a career for the rest of my life. I intended on retiring from this from the first day I came on board. So here I am taking a cold shower, just thinking, yeah, like I'm gonna sacrifice right now. I'm gonna deal with this cold shower because this is gonna give me and my kids a future for the rest of our lives.
And that is legitimately and oddly enough one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard, and it came from you. So
Yeah.
Very profound.
The man that doesn't smile.
That was amazing.
Sometimes you have to sacrifice.
Let me tell you something. The people that talk the least, when they do talk, you should listen.
That is very true.
that pretty much sums up Derrick. Yeah.
Yeah. It's rare that I talk just to hear myself talk.
And
So let's
Very
actually, you know what's funny about that? So for the longest time, since Jake's hair is huge right now. But for the longest time, a lot at the shows, a lot of people thought that Derrick was actually Jake.
And I got to witness that
it's
at
still
Slam
happening.
Oh yeah, no, it's
It still
happening. Yeah,
happens
no.
now.
And Derrick doesn't like to talk so much to the public. You know, so at the show, you've definitely opened up a lot over the years.
Oh, let me.
So
let me
somebody
tell
needs
you
to
the
clear
most-
this up.
the
That's
most hilarious-
Derrick. For those of you watching, that's
Look,
Derrick.
Here's what's
That's
weird.
Jacob.
Yeah.
I now do.
younger guy.
I now do the unofficial
By
YouTube
how
channel.
much?
I say all the time, like, "Welcome to the channel. My name's Derrick." Everybody knows Jake owns the company, and here I am.
No.
I'm just
Dude,
Derrick. I'm doing the channel.
People still call Sundown like, "Oh, I saw the owner's video today."
And that's what I get all the time now. People are like, "Oh, you
Yeah.
own the company?" I'm like, "No, Jake owns the company. Everybody knows that. I'm Derrick."
Well, we
People
can
think
clear-
I own a company. People think some dude
That's
named
where
Mike
the-
owns
Some
the
dude
company.
named
They
Mike up in
made-
New York. Yeah, remember that? They're like, no, I've already talked to Mike up in the New York
Hold on, say one
headquarters.
thing. So this is the thing. I actually think this is lovely and beautiful.
Here we go.
I'm just gonna say because as you've probably gathered by now, I like to run the company with family and friends,
Yes,
people that I value highly, and it doesn't bother me one bit. You know, like Derrick's every bit as important as I am to this company. Derrick's job is every bit as important as mine, so I just wanted to throw that in there.
So say the story, Derrick, because I know where you're going at with this. Go ahead.
Well, like there was a joke recently. This guy on Facebook. This just happened like last week. A guy said something about me owning the company. Like, I don't own the company. Like here I'm saying I'm Derrick. I'm just doing the YouTube videos. Jake owns the company. But they thought I owned the company. So that's where the joke. Like Brandon said something the other day. Like, you're such a good business owner. Like, because that's what everyone all of a sudden now sees me in a video and thinks, oh, you must own the company. Like,
So-
no.
It says Sundown Audio unofficial.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So-
still.
For the longest time, you know. By the way, Derrick's been going to the shows with Sundown. You know, when we do a booth, Derrick
Yeah, as
has
long
been
as
there
we've done shows,
for
I've been in the
5-6 years now.
He's there more than I am.
So
Yeah, I'll be in the booth, and people every show, at least one person, usually multiple, will walk straight up to me and, oh, hey, Jacob. You know,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
mean, had people like a guy came up to me, just started talking to me like he knew me all his
Right.
life. Like, yeah, great talking to you again, Jacob. And I'm like, I just went,
Derrick's
yes.
not always been the people
Like,
person.
I didn't want to bust the guy's bubble, like, but he acted like he had met Jacob, knew him forever, and he thought I was him. And I'm like, I just went, yes.
And then
Yeah.
cue like the camera panning in on Derrick's face, and it's like, "Hello,
Derrick
darkness,
just says-
my old friend."
Derrick just say yep or nope
Well,
and
that's
just
where
walk
we
away.
get the instances where people walk up like, "Are you Jacob?" And I'll just go, "No."
So this is
fucking walk.
I-
You would just walk away.
this is a funny story, but this
That
is
Jacob guy's
this is
an asshole.
absolutely true.
And that's
Um,
happened too.
And I hate to keep interrupting, but this is this is going so amazing. Back when Sundown like didn't even have shirts, I was one of the first people to buy shirts. I don't know if you made them.
The very
The little
first,
ones. I have
With
one.
the website on the back.
With the website, yeah.
Yeah.
The very first run of shirts, I did not make them, and then
Well-
but I did even when they had the little logo.
But again, and it was just like I remember showing up to Jake's house one time, and I just saw, and he was opening a box of shirts, and I was just like, "Oh, this is legit," because like that, that was the
means
way
you
it,
made it if you
that
have
was
a
the way it
shirt.
worked.
I know
So-
it's more work, but I really wish you still made those. The smaller logo with the website and shit in the back. I really like.
Yeah,
those shirts.
so I
I
have
can.
I
I'm
had
still capable.
Well, if you go to the website, it has the website on it. Somebody pointed that out to me today, actually. That wanted to order
we're
some
still working on our
They were
website.
supposed to change that for
but
like 5 years now.
So I remember, and Jake was just like, "These are my shirts," and I was just like, "Does anyone own these?" And he was like, "Not yet." And I handed him a $20 bill, and I was like, "I support you. Here you go." And I
Wait
was
a
like,
minute, you paid for that? I think I stole one.
I got one for free.
wait. No, that was the thing. I was just like, dude, you're doing the damn thing. Like,
I've been around so long that my first Sundown shirt was a large. I wear
Oh,
a
damn.
2X now.
oh,
Let me add something that back in the day things were lean and I was broke. I was like, hey man, that shirt's gonna cost you $10, bro.
okay. So this was legit, and then Jacob was just like,
And he made money off of you.
"What? No, I was
stole that shit, man.
totally cool with it because I handed him a $20 bill, and I was just like,
Thomas
Well, look,
didn't eat
man.
for a week.
look, man, you're doing no. I
Dude,
had money back then.
that $20 must have hurt.
No, I
Pre-marriage.
those.
I was playing the
didn't steal it
bass for the church back then.
Oh, yeah,
making
that's
the
a
money.
different
Easy
episode.
killer, easy
We gotta do
killer.
a whole Thomas
So,
episode.
Wait, are we going there? Thomas with the church?
No.
The country band?
Uh-oh.
So
Can we bring that one up too?
I had
Another
I've
episode.
had a few
Okay.
gigs. I'll talk
Actually-
about them later.
I don't want to cut too short, but Jake, did you have anything else to add to your side of things?
Well, let me. I need to talk about what do I do here.
Jesus
We
Christ!
we just
You know
stopped.
what?
Hey, you did it. I don't
Um,
even remember what I was fucking talking about.
Don't
Thomas,
you interrupt, Derek.
Thomas paid for
I
the
even
shirt.
forgot. I just-
What
It
else?
got
was
to the
going to
point where
be
I
a
came to
short
work and I was
story,
done.
but then the 8 of you started talking. You and the voices in my head.
The host says
slow
go
of
back
us.
to Derek.
All right. So, Derek, what do you do here? What do you do?
My technical
What is your title? Yeah.
would
Will you
be and I no keep in mind I haven't done a meet the staff on myself yet.
Uh-oh.
Derek,
remember
Derek,
this.
Derek, no, hold on.
What?
Can I do that? Can I interview you for the meet staff?
Right now?
No, not right now. But
No.
when you do the
Oh,
episode,
yeah.
can I do it?
Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just
So my technical title would be shipping manager. So to sum that up easily is everything that has to do with not the build room, not the office, everything outside as far as
Warehouse.
testing, shipping, warehouse. I handle all that stuff. I run all that.
And Derek is
He's
badass.
doing
So if your shipment's fucked up,
Yeah.
guess
I've
whose fault
streamlined
it
the
is?
process.
Now
a
wait.
bit.
Hey, let me correct that. Derek doesn't fuck up.
no.
Derek does not fuck up. No.
So I'm so OCD and picky. I actually tracked my own errors one time, and it was a 0.01%.
You take pictures
Just-
of freight too.
Jesus Christ.
saying.
Would you
Yeah, well,
spreadsheet this shit?
Derek's bullshitting you. It's 0.001%.
It's
It's
0.01%. I have
That's like Hunter's
I
time
keep
card.
physical copies of all the invoices going back
I need
for
to step up my game.
at least 1 year, almost 2 years. So if there's ever, this happened, we can't track this, or something went wrong, I can go back and find that
So
original
most of the
paper
time, it's
that
the
I had
office's
and put
fault.
the shipping label on.
Can I tell you guys something beautiful for a second? Derek
No.
does such a good fucking job. He does such a good job. People ask me, did that go out? And I'm like, and I'm honest. I don't know. Ask Derek. Because I don't need to know. Because Derek does such a phenomenal job that I know for a fact that he's handled it. And maybe every once in a while I say, hey, Derek, do you ship that? And you know what he goes? He goes, yeah, man, I shipped that shit.
Hey Jake,
That's how it works.
hey Jake, you want to give Derek a hug real quick? Just
give him a
to
hug.
make that,
You
just to
wanna
make
give
that,
him a
just to
hug.
make that
He doesn't
moment.
like
even
So
better.
there's two
want
MVPs
another-
of the
Dude,
evening, and
I'll
they
do
are
it. I'll
Steve
give
and
another
Derek.
hug.
Maybe inspirational quote.
Fucking Steve, get off my fucking lawn!
Well, this is we were in this building, and so Jake used to do all the shipping. I know he had some trouble letting go, so we had to have
Dude,
the
That's
talk
true.
one
That's
day
true.
where I told Jake, I'm trying to think of the exact wording I used when I was like,
I don't remember the exact wording either.
I basically let him know whether I succeed or fail, you've got to trust me, and I told him you put your trust in me, and I will make sure you never have to worry about anything out there, guaranteed.
You know what?
It's
And
worked out.
that's
After
very
dark.
true, Derek.
And that,
Oh my
and
God.
that essentially broke down my goal for my job was to make sure I handled everything,
So-
everything 100%, so no one ever had to worry about that.
So in the beginning, well, not in the beginning, but in the middle,
Derek, I'd hug you, but I'm terrified of you.
when Derek and I came, because Derek
you won't hear
came
the
on,
phrase "Damn it, Derek."
Derek came
fucked
on-
up again. You won't hear that around here.
Derek
That has
came on
never been uttered.
2 weeks before me, and
I use the phrase only, Derek, you should talk more, bro.
yes.
Oh,
So what you're
working
saying
on
about Jake having to let go of a lot of responsibility.
Very difficult for me.
Whew.
Yes,
and you know what? As a business
this
owner,
is his baby.
I can
It's true.
understand.
It's true.
I've been there. I can only understand. That's gotta hurt. Because you're like, okay, we're
And that's
gonna
why
leave.
I wanted to instill the confidence in him that I'm your guy. I got this.
The most powerful statement I've ever want to make as a CEO of this company is when someone says, "Hey Jake, did that happen?" I say, "You know what? I don't know. Why don't you ask Derek?"
Did you just tell that story?
Is this like in Zoo?
That's how powerful
It
it
was
is.
so
Yeah.
profound.
Is
we
this
had to
is
do
this
it
like
twice.
in Zoolander when he's like, did I just tell you that? But why male models?
You guys shut your dirty whore mouth.
We're all fired tomorrow.
Let's
Yeah.
go. Let's go back to Jake real
So-
quick. Jake, did you have anything else you wanted to add to your your little thing there.
Yes, I did.
All right, let's do
All right.
this.
So let's go back to me in college. I'm a very philosophical guy.
Hey, real quick,
Yes.
I
make
consider-
it, Jake, make it long.
That's what
This
she
guy,
said.
this guy has to really pee bad.
So, my goal as the owner, which I have not always
This is
been,
the pilot.
I have not always been perfect in this aspect. I'm going to admit that. The first step to being a leader is admitting things you're not good at.
I wasn't laughing at you, I promise. Brian was making as much
fine.
noise as possible.
So, when you're a leader, you have to recognize things you're not good at. And I am an introvert. I don't want to be the guy. I don't want to be the power guy. I'm like, "Bruh, you guys do this." So I want to trust people. And it absolutely did take me some time. But I feel like that I put people where they are, and I don't have to worry about it, and customers will call, they're like, "Hey, where's my stuff?" And I'm like, you know what? I'm pretty sure Derrick's taking care of it. And if he hasn't taken care of it yet, there's a very good reason. There could be 1,000 SA-12s that need to ship before these 10 SA-12s. And, this is the reality of owning a business. You can't ship everything at one time. So I try to instill in everybody. It's like, look, Derrick does what he does because he's proven himself to me time and time again that he's the guy. I was like, I wouldn't have let go of shipping if he didn't prove it to me, because I was OCD. I was like, nah, man, there's no way that anyone can do shipping the way that I did it. And I had to accept that. I had to accept the fact that somebody was capable of doing a better job than me. And that was very hard for me. It really was very hard. And that's the founder's quandary. And any book you read about management or anything like that is going to tell you the same. It's very hard for the founder that was involved. And it's his heart and soul to let go of any small aspect, But I did it.
Derrick's in the background like, preach it. Amen. Amen.
Words when I hugged you? Or
So-
was it, okay. It was
So
this.
I can tell for a fact if somebody says, "Hey, where's the shipment?" My first response is, "I'm going to tell you what, Derrick is doing a great job. The chances are he's doing the best job he can. I'll ask him, but the chances are is whatever the optimal scenario is, he's already figured it out.
Hold on a minute.
I'll ask him.
Hold
and we-
on.
What?
It's either already handled or I didn't
Well,
even know.
hold on. Actually, I want to say something real fast. We're still learning to do this, but Brian, I would have been like, "Hey, let's cut to the."
Hold on.
So, Brian,
I
Brian,
just-
before you start talking, so the primary thing that I have learned
Oh my
in this
God.
all this time as a business owner is it was just me. It was just Jake. I answered all emails. I did all invoice. I did all shipping. I had to let go. I had to find people like Derrick who are willing to live in a motorhome, who are willing to take a cold shower, and this kind of person is the kind of person that's going to do a fantastic job for you, no matter what.
There's a train.
So there's a train. This is a Derrick train. This is a Derrick train coming to the station. telling
That was
me
beautiful.
that this is.
Derrick, your new nickname is the Train.
The train.
You have to trust people. You have to trust people.
That train is
that's
always
what
on time.
I'm trying to get at. And I have a team of fantastic people.
And Donnie.
I'll repeat this. And Donnie. I'll repeat this time and time again. So there's businesses out there. There's cardio companies out there, right? So, but I run my business differently. I have a philosophy, and I'm like, okay, there's people, and I trust them. 100%, 110%. I trust my people more than my own judgment. I was like, if I have a gut feeling that something's wrong, but you know what? Derrick knows more about the situation than I could possibly know because that's his job. I don't have a problem with asking him for a status update because he will tell me. But I assume before I even talk to Derrick that he's done it. And that's how I feel about all my employees.
Thanks, Jake.
So,
And that's very true. In the amount of time that we have spent here, we have all seen that.
We're all gonna end up like crying by the end of this.
So
that's
Well,
the
and-
after dark.
And Jake, honestly, it's gotten to the point where Jake cannot do everything himself, and he
No.
doesn't. He does not know everything that's going on. And
Nobody can do it all by themselves.
He doesn't need to know everything that's
We've gotten
going
big
on.
enough. Any one job cannot be done by one
correct.
person anymore.
Yeah. So
we have to have multiple builders,
He
multiple
has
people
trust.
in shipping, multiple people on the phones.
Yeah. He has trust in everybody in this building to do their job and do it properly, and he doesn't have to worry about things.
right. So I want to add one more thing. The only thing that I'm going to take credit for, the single thing that I'm going to take credit for, is that I've instilled upon everyone that works here my desire to make the customer happy. Derrick knows the customer wants their woofers, and he's going to do it in the best way he possibly can. So that may or not make every single customer happy. It may not, right? But you know, if you place your order, that your order is being fulfilled in the fastest, most efficient way possible. We're not going to be unfair. We're not going to be selective. You know, like, oh, you ordered from so and so, so your order is better. No, your order is better by the time it came in. And that's Derrick's job, and he's taking that very seriously. That's what he does every day.
I think
Derrick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a rebuttal?
No.
That's what Derrick does, man.
I don't know where to go from
Thanks,
there.
Derrick.
So,
I just do my best.
I can't wait to sum this all up.
well,
Derrick, go ahead.
I like to think I'm like. Here's what makes me really good at shipping, especially where we do so much freight now, is we'll just say I have a knack for it, where I can plan everything out in my head, and in my head it just falls into place, and it's the way my OCD works, where I can see it, I can predict it, and then I can make it all fall in place in my head, and then I just have to make sure the steps are taken physically for all that to follow through with.
Yeah, man.
Sometimes
So,
I feel like I just make it look easy though. Like
Brian,
it's really not. I dare anybody else to do it, and they're just looking at me like, it's so easy.
Well, it's just like if somebody in the warehouse came into the office and tried to do what we do, or somebody in the warehouse or somebody in the office tried to go into the build room and do what they do. Yeah, there's three main sections of this facility.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not good at that. I built a subwoofer once.
We're all playing.
Oh, he did. I taught him.
It was like, and I don't ever want to do that
Did I or
again.
did I not?
Well,
We're all placed where we're meant
It
to
was
be.
a ZV3 15.
I don't remember. It was back in Troutman.
It was a
Yeah.
ZV3
I built a
15.
subwoofer once, and I was like, this is awful. It just wasn't my thing. So I'm like, you know what? We can have people that can build.
When
I'm
Thomas
gonna
gets
let
really
them
excited,
build.
he
I'm
gets
gonna
really
go do my
loud.
thing.
Dude, well,
Really
I'm
loud.
sorry, I can't help it.
You got
But yeah,
super loud.
yeah,
Don't
well,
worry,
I got that
I've got
Thornsberry
compression on.
voice.
I've got the compression on. We're good.
I apologize.
I remember one
But-
time. Oh, go ahead.
No,
We're
no,
sharing
I'm
Derrick's
just.
stories.
So I know how that is. Like,
I got like 2 Derrick
I
stories.
found what I'm good at. I stick to it.
Yeah.
I'm not good at building subs. I don't build subs. You know, I hate being on the phones. I've done that. It was awful.
Yeah.
I hate being on the
Dude,
phone.
I remember.
So I'm not going to be on the phone.
I remember in Troutman we had we had multiple rooms. We had one big room that had all of us in it. It was
Which used to be the room.
it used to be the room.
There
then it kind
wasn't
of blossomed from there.
many
The original
rooms
room.
that like those rooms didn't even have power.
So when Derrick and I came
That's
on
where
board,
the
it
bathroom
was
was. You had to
it
like
was-
walk
was
like
a
a
hike.
mile to the
It
bathroom.
was like a mile to the bathroom. Yeah, man.
yeah. When Derrick
It
and
was
I
all
came on
cold
board,
showers. It was all cold showers, ladies and
That's
gentlemen.
the theme. That should be the name of this
when,
episode.
when Derrick and I came on board, it was one big ass room. Well, there was multiple rooms. One big ass room that we all kind of worked in. Derrick again handled shipping. I handled technical support. You had Jake. Sometimes he had like 2 desks. You had Debbie that was in one area,
That's true. Yeah.
and we had a lot of fun in that room. But it was humble.
It was
you
a
know?
very like intimate environment. It was
Yeah.
as I don't know. I know people
The
can't see
farting-
this room,
the
but it was
stories
like
about
4
us
times as
farting
big
was
as
hilarious.
this room. You know.
all the farts that went on in that
the
room.
fart,
yeah.
the
where-
fart
That was-
stove.
that was
all Bryan.
That's why all
No,
the desks
Derrick-
in the office have
Yeah,
candles.
I used to let them rip so bad.
all
Now-
all the desks have candles.
Yeah. That's
You
actually.
know, we had Grandma and Elizabeth right there, and I
Yeah.
just be letting them rip.
Well, Elizabeth
right in front
back
of
then, Elizabeth would only come in once a week. She would
Yeah.
handle our books,
them. Yeah.
and so it was me and Derrick. Well, Derrick was to the left of me. He was, you open up the door, boom, there's Derrick. He's getting shipping and stuff like that.
And boxing, because we
There you
even
go.
box subs right there in that same room. We
Yeah.
did all that stuff.
Dude,
right
everything, dude. Even like
you guys
the,
remember when I wouldn't let anyone to box subwoofers? It was just me.
that was before our
Dude,
time.
I remember when you were. I had packed 9.
Yeah.
It was 9 in a row, and you stared at me the whole time. And you're like, "Let's see what you got." And at one point, you even started like videoing me just to tease me, just
Pretty terrible.
to bug me, and you were just laughing the whole time. And I was like, dude, like, come on. But it was I don't remember what they were. It was like ZV3.
ZV3s at the time.
It was ZV3s. I believe they were 12s, and you were just you're as far as you are from me right now.
Yeah.
You were just like hovering over me, just laughing, and it was
Closer, maybe closer.
it was hilarious. It's hilarious now, but like, man, like, did I ever pack those woofers right? And that was legitimately how I learned. And you were just like, I'll never forget. Before it happened, he was just like, Jake looks over at me. He goes, "You're about to pack 9 ZV312s," and then I was just like, "I'm gonna do what?" And then
Did the customer call and say they were fucked on the way there?
They were good.
They were good. So
There's
you did it.
no
Good
way.
job.
There's no way, man. Those things were packed to perfection.
I love how everyone has these tender memories of Sundown, but I mainly just came in and I would get drunk.
Yeah.
Like that. Everybody knows because that Jake's cousin who came around was like, "Oh yeah, drinking scotch with Jake, having
So
cigars." I just show up.
speaking of drinking scotch, where are the bottles, gentlemen? Can we talk about what scotches we've drank this evening?
Sure. Not sponsored, but we can do it.
Not sponsored, but I mean,
This was a phenomenal one.
hey, get the.
All right, so we had several. We had the classic cask single malt.
This is all in celebration of Little Maya.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the first episode of the podcast.
And we
This is the
smoked
Highland.
the cigarette or the cigar. I'm sorry.
Highland was
Ooh.
aged in a Lafroig cask. No, this is a Highland.
Jesus, Jake. Good God.
This is a Highland Scotch aged in an Islay Scotch barrel. Very different.
It's this
This
one.
this one was the second
This
one we
one.
had. This is a blended Scotch. Now, sorry guys.
It's gonna be a new
No. This is all part of it, man. This is all part of it.
This is a blended Scotch. This is more faithful to the standard Highland profile.
So Jake knows a lot about.
These are two
Beverages.
great scotches.
Yeah.
Jake knows a lot about.
We have shared both of them through this evening, and these are amazing.
So
can't
I am
believe they're
actually
gone.
starting a distillery with a business partner.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
That is correct. Yes.
We won't talk.
H.J.
We won't get
Smith
into too many
Distilleries.
details about that. But
Not
we
too mu-
can't.
Not too much. It's going to be H.J. Smith. Our Facebook's not made yet, but it will be made soon. H.J. Smith Distilleries. It's based in Maryland. That's where we'll be available first.
hell yeah,
It looks legit. We've had samples. It tastes legit.
Actually, the
good
first
stuff.
time I had samples was when I came to visit. It's like, Jake,
Why is every
coming at the right
story
time,
involve
Donnie.
alcohol?
But to be truthful, I work when I'm here, just so everybody knows.
No. You're
Well,
good. We're
obviously,
good.
we
Kinda.
like to drink.
yeah.
Obviously,
We have a good time.
I think
Work
so.
hard.
We've been
play
having a good
hard.
time for the longest time.
And then again, all of us have known each other
I knew
For-
these guys before they were born.
for
Yeah.
so long.
Except for me.
Derrick was born when, like, 50 years before I was born.
So I guess to wrap things up, we'll talk about me. I don't like talk about myself too much. Yeah, I do. I guess I can.
Brian is our rotund
I
gentleman.
think didn't I introduce you to? Did I introduce you to
Well,
this?
we're going to talk about that.
Oh, okay. I'm
So
sorry.
here's
I
the
wanna steal your
deal.
thunder.
Here's the deal. I'm not going to go too far into my past, but
We
let-
wouldn't want that.
yeah. So at the age of, we'll say 13 is when I started getting a knack for car audio. And I used to live in Philadelphia at the time. And I used to run down to a pawn shop and I used to watch a guy install and I used to just hang out. I had a very good friend. His name was Frank Resner. He's now passed away. He was my best friend at the time. Very good guy. And because of him is the reason why I got into car audio. Again, he passed away a few years ago.
R.I.P. Frank.
Yeah.
Yo, Frank, this is for you.
Awesome dude. I can go into a whole thing about him. We had a lot of good times back in the day. Anyway, 13 years old. Was it middle school? Just hanging out,
Sure.
learning about shit. I was installing stuff in people's cars when I lived in an apartment complex in Philly. doing installs the wrong way, but people are still happy apparently. So and from there, I just kind of learned a little bit here and there, and then I moved to North Carolina because I got in way too much trouble up in Philly. At that point, I met this guy over here, Mr. Donnie Lambert.
Yep.
That is true.
Yep. I was in 10th grade when I met Donnie.
We were in a food and nutrition class together, which is hilarious.
Yeah. I taught Donnie how to cook.
Retrospect.
So, by the way, that was, and not to go too much off topic, but
Yeah.
the food and nutrition class was the class I got a 100 in. The only
I
class,
actually did not know that.
the only
the
class,
education system in America is fucked.
Oh my god!
the only class I ever got a perfect grade in. Both
That's
foods,
perfect,
and I took
man.
foods 1 and 2. Okay.
You love food, Brian. You love food.
So yeah, that's where I met Donnie,
Yes.
and then Donnie was like, "Hey man, I want to play guitar, and I know you can play.
no.
I know you can play good drums, and you can sing, or maybe sing, because he had no idea. I just told him what I
You
could
suck, Brian.
Well, no,
And,
you knew another guy that was friends with me.
do. Yeah, Matt.
Matt, yeah.
Yep. So we would all go to Matt's garage, and that's why I met Thomas. And we all just kind of jammed out and had a good time. We were playing like Metallica and having a good time.
Yeah.
So that's how I met those two guys. That's Thomas and Donnie. And because of Donnie, and I don't want to get too far into details. Actually, Derrick's got a whole thing on his channel, Sundown Unofficial, explains how I got here. But because of Donnie, I am married.
You're welcome.
I met all the friends I met.
guess.
And I work here at Sundown.
Actually, because of Donnie, I am married too. So,
God damn it, Donnie.
Donnie fucks it all up.
Screwed everybody up.
that is
Yeah.
actually true. My son's middle name shares a middle name with Donnie.
Yeah.
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 Actually, I think that whole talk came about when we were drinking.
And that whole talk came about after
Yeah.
a bottle of scotch,
Yeah.
just like right
and
now.
some cigars. We had some cigars. We had
Some
Camachos.
cigars,
We had
yeah.
Camachos,
So it
Maduros.
all leads back to
Yeah.
cigars and scotch, and
Yeah.
that's why we do this, and that's why we give it to you
But
too.
hold on. Let's let Brian finish because this was very tender, and I'm
Yeah.
getting
I'm
goosebumps
sorry.
now,
So-
Derrick. I'm getting goosebumps.
Being in high school, I met a bunch of people. Most of them were through Donnie, and then I found one of our friends, his sister, and ended up being my wife. So anyway, moved to North Carolina. During high school and or just after high school, I met. I know it was we were still in high school.
We were still in high school. Yeah.
I met Jake
Yep.
at the bowling alley.
Yeah,
I had a
yeah,
kick.
yeah.
I had a
oh
kick ass.
shit! Yeah, the bowling
I had
alley.
a kick-ass system in my
Power
car.
acoustic, bro.
Power acoustic system.
Yeah.
It was power acoustic, amplifier, and capacitor. And I did Lanzar subwoofers. Again, no idea what I was doing, but that was cool to me. And it was like this really cool,
remember that.
this really cool design. It had like lightning and shit going on in it. And I remember showing it to Jake because remember you telling me, Donnie, that Jake was getting into car audio. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, cool. I'm gonna show him. Jake goes, oh yeah, it's cool. Walks away. I was like, I
I
spent so
remember
much
that,
time
yeah.
doing this. And we'll get into this here in a minute. But essentially, my career in the car audio industry has always been how things look and how things sound. I was not a competitor, never been a competitor. It's always been how things look and how things sound. So, and I've always gone into the whole fabrication side of things. So, I showed Jake, and he's like, "Oh, that's cool."
I remember that. That was awesome.
Yeah, I was at the bowling alley.
Yeah.
So, my career is kind of weird. So I end up with a child. At
You're
a very
welcome.
yeah, thanks, Donnie. At a pretty early age. I think I just turned 20 when I ended up with my daughter, and I ended up with a woman who already had a child. So I'm Mr. Stepdad at the same time. So growing up, you got to work different jobs. I worked. I was in the construction industry at the time, and I ended up getting laid off, and then I took that time, that opportunity while I was laid off to go to school for what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. My career I've always wanted to be in car audio. Went down to Florida, Installer Institute, when Derrick got my MECP certification. That was in 2007 at the time. And while I was there, I actually bought product from Jacob. Wasn't making subwoofers at the time. I think it was a 1200 or a 1500 I got from him, and a 100.4 or 100. No, it was 100.2. And because he wasn't making subs, I got TC Sound subwoofers. They were TC 10s. So I loved them. So, but anyway, installed them in my car while I was there because they wanted us to learn on our own vehicles and shit like that. Anyway, got my MECP, and then I immediately after that I started working at Best Buy, which is a great place for anybody who just wants to get their foot into technology in general. It's retail. It sucks. I want to say it sucks.
I'll do that. No, I'm just joking. It's fine.
It's retail. It's a pain, but you know what? That's where you get your backbone. Yeah. So working retail, dealing with people.
I'll say it. All retail sucks.
Dude.
I've never met anybody that likes retail.
It's not fun.
Thanks, Derrick. Thanks.
Cause I worked at Sears before all that too, which was.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Selling appliances.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I became a car audio salesman because they had a special person back then in that particular region or part of the store that was selling car audio, and then I blossomed from there. Went to being an installer for a little while. And then after that, I did a internship at a high-end car audio facility that was just starting up at the time in Mooresville, North Carolina. The business didn't last. We won't go into that. But I have to pay a lot to a guy named Jason Seiner, who he was a big competitor, SQ competitor in Iasca at the time, and Jason taught me. He brought me under his wing, and taught me all sorts of really cool things that people will pay their left nut for, in the car audio industry. So he taught me all this SQ shit, and taught me a lot of cool stuff. I didn't have to pay him, obviously. He just kind of brought me in under his wing. Yeah. And then things didn't work out there. I mean, I pretty much finished my internship. And some things went weird with management. Again, not going to go into that. Yeah. And then I started working at a place installing not remote starts,
breathalyzers.
Yeah, the breathalyzer ignition interlocks. I did that for
we shot one of those at my bachelor party.
We did that for 3.5, 4 years. Or I did that for 3.5, 4 years. It's basically like installing a remote start in vehicle. So. Anybody who got a DUI had to put the breathalyzer in their car, all that shit. It was fun.
Maybe I thought it was one of those. It could have just been like a metal box. Oh, I wouldn't have even known. So, to be honest with you.
So, I was working at that company before I worked at Sundown. I was having a bad day. All right. Jacob calls me out of the blue because Jacob already knew that I wanted to work for him. This was early 2013. He calls me. And he's like, Bryan. Because we've talked before. He's like, Bryan, how much did you need to work for me? So I was like, look, dude, just match what I'm making right now. I don't care about because at the time I had a company car and insurance and all that shit. I was like, I don't even care. I need to get out of this. It's driving me nuts. And he's like, all right. I was like, all right, cool. Give it 2 weeks. So I came in, I think, the next day. And it just kind of got my feet wet for a second because I had a day off wherever, the place I was working. And then 2 weeks later, here I am at Sundown. Derrick was working. I think Derrick started working about 2-3 weeks before me. And then that was right, literally months before shit went crazy at Sundown.
Yeah.
We're talking new Sundown frame, mega roll cone, all the new spiders. Shit hit the fan in June and July when all that stuff.
Working on changing locations.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're moving the entire company.
June through August 2013, moving. We were moving to here at Claremont because this was in Troutman. We were moving here to Troutman, Claremont, North Carolina. Holy shit! So, but during the Troutman days, I got
fire.
Yeah.
Troutman
I remember
fire.
my first day working at Sundown. There was 700 emails that needed to be answered. And during that first week, of working in the so-called customer service department, I was able to finish all 700 emails. A lot of them were probably deleted, but I was able to actually do all that. And since then, we're going to try to make this a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
I work in the office. I've always worked in the office. Thomas, Jacob, and Gary, when Gary was working here, those are the three guys that taught me how to build subwoofers. And there was a point in time in which I used to build refurbished subwoofers in a different company while I worked here. We won't get into that. But, yeah, I thank you guys very much for teaching me how to build. Because during the Troutman days, while I was doing my job, there was some downtime. And that's why I would go into the build room and just watch Thomas. And Thomas would teach me how to do things. And
Back when I was nice.
Yeah. It was an SA-12. We built an SA-12 with a old,
I remember that because, yeah.
A big old nightshade.
For reasons undisclosed.
I fucked up the dust cap and was like, oh, we can just put we just put a bigger dust cap on this.
And
on
I was
top.
like, we just put a bigger one on top, man. So it's fucked up.
Yeah.
Just
make
hide
it look
cool. Make it look cool.
We did that.
And it did. It looked really cool.
And
then you ended up using it.
Dude, I sold it. I sold it to somebody local.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, made some money off that bitch.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. So,
solid woofer.
Anyway, I work here at Sundown. Many of you that have called here have talked to me, especially if it's technical. There's only a few people here that generally handle technical, phone calls.
For that, I'm sorry.
No, you're still new. You're good. Yeah, there's only a few of us. So I for the most part run most of the operations in the office. I want to say I'm a manager, but a lot. I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of things that go on in the office. I help out with it. I handle it, and we try to make things run as smooth as we can. That's what I do now. That's what I plan on doing until the day I die.
Oh yeah.
And now you do this, and cheers to that.
Oh, thank you.
I don't have anything left.
Salud.
I do
Salud.
want to share one thing. I totally forgot. So, my first car was actually Jake's old car, and it had a system in it.
Oh, yes.
So
yes.
As novice as I am, I actually had a system at one time. I had a 1,000 watt
that was
Bajas,
installed
right?
by Jacob
Yeah.
Fuller.
He had the profile.
Bought, not built.
California's, they were the Profile Californias.
Good call.
He had that profile. Profile Californias. He had the.
No, they're the Bajas. Bajas.
Yeah. He had he had Morel mid bases. Excuse me.
He remembers this is what is astounding.
Yeah.
Like
He had
this
he had the Audax 4 inches, and he had the.
You haven't hiccuped the whole time, and then once you get on that microphone, you start hiccuping.
And then he had the Audax 3/4 inch titanium tweeters. Now we had the tweeters. They were aimed towards the windshield. It was very good for staging going on. So anyway, let's just cut this short because I'm hiccuping. There was an infinity reference to all at the time. It was a 3 cubic foot sealed enclosure, which is, I mean, really, it's absurd for a 12-inch woofer. So all the woofers we sell now would not require anything like that.
Well, I remember because I loved that car, and I was always rolled up like a badass. And people
Donnie,
people
tell
like
us about the
Let's
first time.
change the oil.
Hey,
Tell
listen,
us about
listen.
the day you got your driver's license.
No.
Oh, I ran into somebody.
No. Let's save that for the next
We'll
time.
save it for the next time. But I want to say, like, I would
It's
like
perfect.
roll up and I would act like a badass. I'm like, yeah, I got my Firebird. I got these boom boom, yeah. And people were like, oh, what you got in there? What you? And I'm like, give me 1 second, and then I would call Jake. I would flip up my phone,
and there you
dial
go.
Jake.
What do I have in here, bro?
I would be like, tell them. Yeah, I lost some points that way, but that's okay.
Hell yeah.
It was a fun car. It was cool.
Really good car.
Yeah.
So anyway, guys, let's end this right here. I want to thank everybody for sticking in this long. This is a long video for the
We
trailer.
didn't know this was going to happen.
Come for the
Pilot.
next one.
I mean, Bryan doesn't know anything about long either.
Look, we have all known each other for so very long. We have so many more stories.
Many
dude.
more.
I
You guys
plan on
didn't even
doing
know
this-
how gay Thomas is yet.
I just hope I'm welcome back because I don't know anything about car audio. Like this is
Thomas
You're
is
the- you're the
gay.
cigar
Diane is
guy.
everything. Brian's Brian.
So anyway,
Derrick
thank you
doesn't
very
talk.
much. Thank you very much for watching. I want to
Thank you.
I want to ask everybody to please subscribe. Also, check out Derrick's channel, Sundown Unofficial.
Sundown Audio Unofficial.
Thumbs up.
You gotta click
Comment.
that thumbs up button. Give us a like.
Hit that
Subscribe.
Hit that
stupid
bell.
little
Share.
bell. And
Comment.
Ring the bell for notifications.
Soon
Tell
as-
him
is-
that you saw us.
As soon as we get this thing really rolling, it's going to be on actual podcast host. I want to thank everybody. Have a wonderful fucking night.
Yeah.